Chapter 973. Supreme Divinity Black Ice was also a follower of Beiyuan Sword Immortal. After that battle, she never returned to the Valley of Beasts. No one knew what the situation was now. The things in the Tianji Tower could not be taken out. When people left the Tianji Tower, they could only take away their memories. Wang Daoyuan memorized all the techniques and secret techniques deduced by Supreme Divinity Black Ice. Senior, I've used up a lot of my divine sense. I should take my leave. Supreme Divinity Black Ice nodded. Go. I'll leave the inheritance of the Valley of Beasts to you. Wang Daoyuan bowed again and again before leaving the Tianji Tower. As soon as he focused on his own body, he felt exhausted. He had spent more than half of his divine sense in the Tianji Tower after staying in the Tianji Tower for more than 10 days. Especially when he cultivated the improved 5 spirits immortal technique, it consumed a lot of his divine sense. He ordered his clone in the spiritual pearl to record the techniques deduced by Supreme Divinity Black Ice. Then, he heaved a sigh of relief. He took out some nectar of the 7-leaf ghost face flower from the spiritual pearl and consumed it to recover his divine sense. It was better to go back to his own territory to cultivate the improved 5 spirits immortal technique. Wang Daoyuan walked out of the Tianji Tower. He did not expect the previous sect master of the Tianji sect to be here. Greetings, Martial Uncle Shantian. Martial Uncle Shantian smiled. No need to be so polite. When you came, I was in seclusion. Please don't blame me. Now that you've come out of the Tianji Tower, I have to treat you well. Martial Uncle, you don't have to do this. I came to the Tianji sect because I had an epiphany during my cultivation. If there's anything you need me to do, just tell me. The Tianji sect also had a powerful inheritance. Although it was not as strong as the Valley of Beasts, it was not to be underestimated. If he wanted to unify Beiyuan in the future, the Tianji sect's attitude was very important. If you want to take, you must give first. Now that the Tianji sect had something to ask of him, he would help as long as he could. Daoist Master Xian Tian smiled awkwardly. Jiu Xiao isn't far from the Yuanying realm. She needs to prepare for the formation of her nascent soul. The Heaven's Fate Mountain spirit vein had already recovered to the lower grade of the 5th tier, so there was no shortage of spirit energy. His foundation was also very solid, so it would not be a problem for him to form his nascent soul. The other preparations had also been completed. Only the natal magic artifact was slightly lacking. His natal magic artifact is also the yin-yang compass. In terms of talent, he is comparable to my Xian family's first-generation ancestor. Therefore, I want to ask you to help me raise his natal magic weapon to the 5th stage so that it can help him withstand the heavenly tribulation. When he transcends the Yuanying heavenly tribulation, the Dharma artifact will be baptized by the heavenly tribulation and nourished by the heavens and earth. Only then will it be able to nurture an artifact spirit faster. A large amount of time was required to nurture an artifact spirit from a level 5 magic tool. If he could have the help of the lightning tribulation and the gifts of heaven and earth, it would indeed be much faster. The yin-yang compass needed pure yin and pure yang qi to advance quickly. Other than Wang Daoyuan, who had the scarlet yang primordial fire and the gui water death flames, the others were not easy to handle. Martial Uncle, you don't have to be so polite. This is just a small matter. I can raise this Dharma artifact to the 5th stage now. Where is Brother Jiu Xiao? Daoist Xian Tian smiled and said, It's good to hear Martial Nephew's words. You came from afar, so we have to play host. I have some gains in the Heavenly Mystery Pagoda, so I have to hurry back to study them. Let's hurry up and help Brother Jiu Xiao raise the Dharma artifact's grade. Then I'll have to trouble Martial Nephew. Daoist Xian Tian called Xian Jiu Xiao over, and the 3 of them went to the Archaic Mysteries sex refining room. Xian Jiu Xiao took out a level 4 yin-yang compass and said, Thank you, elder brother. When the West Sea demon race invaded, in order to increase the strength of the human race, he helped restore the Archaic Mysteries sect's ancestral yin-yang compass. Xian Jiuxiao's yin-yang compass looked no different from the Archaic Mysteries sect's ancestral yin-yang compass. The nurturing method should be similar. He only needed to provide pure yin and pure yang qi, and leave the rest to Xian Zhouxiao. He extracted pure yin and pure yang qi from the scarlet yang true fire and gui water death flames and injected them into the yin yang compass. Xian Zhouxiao activated the compass to refine the pure yin and pure yang qi. Because this yin yang compass never had an artifact spirit, the pure yin and pure yang qi would not be divided by the artifact spirit. The speed of advancement was also much faster. In just 5 or 6 days, the compass had been raised to level 5. Previously, the compass emitted a rich yin and yang qi, but now, after the advancement, it was more restrained, and the yin and yang qi emitted was very weak. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "It's done. I can't help with the nurturing." Brother Zhouxiao, this yin-yang compass was forcefully raised to level 5 after all, and there's still a big gap in its foundation. If you rush to use it, its grade may drop, so it's best to nurture it for a period of time. Martial uncle, I still have to go back and digest the enlightenment I gained from this trip, so I won't stay here. Cultivators should naturally focus on cultivation. Wang Daoyuan had gained enlightenment, and Daoist Xian Tian could not stop him, so he could only personally send him out of the heavenly mystery mountain. Martial nephew Daoyuan, you must walk around more when you have time. I'll be a good host then. Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, I'll come again when I have time. Martial uncle, you don't have to send me off. After saying that, he set up the flying boat and headed east. 3 days later, Wang Daoyuan returned to Qingli's city of the Yan Kingdom. When he came to the imperial study, Wang Mingchen saw him return and quickly asked, Father, did you succeed? Wang Daoyuan nodded and said, let's talk in the secret room. Wang Mingchen followed Wang Daoyuan and came to the secret room behind the imperial study. Ancestor myriad spirits flew out impatiently and asked, how is it? Is the cultivation method completed? Wang Daoyuan took out a thick beast skin book and handed it to Wang Mingchen. This was deduced by Divine Venerable Black Ice according to the inheritance of the spirit demon. There's a cultivation method called the spirit refining art, and there's also a secret technique created according to it. Whether it's the cultivation method or the secret technique, it can transform spiritual power into spiritual power. When he learned about the current situation of the Valley of Beasts, he tried his best and spent more than 10 years to deduce these things for me. He wants to help me win the future battle of destiny so that the Valley of Beasts can have a chance to rise again. I've already promised Divine Venerable Black Ice in the Tianji Pagoda that these inheritances will be shared by the Wang family and the Valley of Beasts. Mingchen, I'll leave these inheritances to you. This is a method that even mighty figures and earth immortals desire. You can't easily reveal it. In the future, whether it's the disciples of the Wang family or the disciples of the Valley of Beasts, only the core people can cultivate this secret technique. Wang Mingchen solemnly took the beast skin book and said, Father, don't worry. I'll take good care of these things. Ancestor myriad spirits took the beast skin book and looked at it carefully. He sighed and said, it's indeed Black Ice's work. I've followed him for more than 5,000 years. More than 70,000 years ago, he also fought to the death against the devil race. I didn't expect the remnant divine sense imprint to be of such great help. He handed the inheritances to Wang Mingchen and gave him some instructions. Then, he left Qingli City and returned to the cave abode under the Jade Spring Peak. Previously, the cultivation results in the illusion realm were all illusory. Now that he was in reality, he had to start all over again. The illusion realm of the Tianji Pagoda was extremely brilliant. Cultivation techniques that could be cultivated normally in the illusion realm could also be cultivated in the outside world. Wang Daoyuan followed the cultivation technique modified by Divine Venerable Black Ice and opened up the internal spiritual sea and internal meridians of the Yuanying. With the previous experience, it was much easier this time. In just over 10 days, the internal spiritual sea and internal meridians were successfully opened. Wang Daoyuan extracted spiritual power from the underground lava and this spiritual power entered the Yuanying. About 5% of the spiritual power entered the internal spiritual sea and was transformed into divine sense power. With the nourishment of this divine sense power, Wang Daoyuan's soul strength increased very quickly. Originally, his divine sense cultivation and the strength of his soul were already very close to the limit of a Yuanian cultivator. Now that he had a huge amount of divine sense power to nourish it, in less than a year, the strength of his soul could no longer increase at all. His divine sense and physical body had already reached the limit of a Yuanian cultivator. Cultivators of the same level could not withstand a single blow in front of him. Whether it was through physical combat or using spells, he could easily defeat his opponent. Chapter 974. His essence, energy, and spirit had reached their limits. If he couldn't break through to the semi-god realm, there was no room for him to improve his strength. If he wanted to break through to the semi-god realm, he could only go to the Qixing Si Shushin community. He had offended the Soul Demon clan by killing the Soul Demons. They couldn't find him yet, but there was no such thing as an impenetrable wall in the world. He was the strongest person on the surface in Qixing Si Shushin, so he was the #1 suspect. When he left Beiyuan, he left Jia Qi and the ancestor of myriad spirits. The demons were no threat. But other than him, no one else had the means to take down the soul demons. Wang Mingqian's cultivation was too low. He was only at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. With his strength, he couldn't exert much of the strength of the 10,000 spirits pagoda. It was good enough that he could protect himself. He learned from Han Ying's clone that Han Ju, who could fight with him, was only the first elder of the soul demons. The soul demons had a foundation of hundreds of thousands of years. There should be many who were as strong as Han Ju. If these guys went crazy, the ancestor of myriad spirits could only protect Qingli City. Before he left, he had to leave some means for his family to deal with the soul demons. Wang Daoyuan left the Jade Spring Peak and came to the imperial study of the Qingli City. Mingqian, where is the ancestor of myriad spirits? Father, the ancestor is teaching Mingren and Mingxian in the secret room behind us. Wang Daoyuan took out a few pill bottles. I have something to discuss with him. This is the Jade Marrow Essence Cultivating Pill. Take the time to cultivate during this period. After you reach the nascent soul realm, I can go to the Qixing Si Shushin community without worry and look for an opportunity to break through to the semi-god realm. Wang Mingqian took the pill bottles. Father, don't worry. The concentration of spiritual qi in Qingli City is very close to the 4th level high quality. My cultivation speed is much faster than before. I can break through to the late stage of the Golden Core realm in 10 years. Wang Daoyuan nodded and walked to the secret room behind the imperial study. As soon as Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian saw Wang Daoyuan, they quickly bowed and said, "Greetings, Father." They were now over 20 years old and had reached the 2nd level of the Foundation Establishment realm. Wang Mingxian's Yiwood spiritual body was of great help to her cultivation. His cultivation was already very close to the 3rd level of Foundation Establishment, which was much faster than Wang Mingren's. There's no need to be so courteous. All these years, Imperial Father has been busy with his cultivation and hasn't been able to take care of you. Wang Mingren cupped his hands and said, "Over the years, my younger sister and I have learned a lot about Imperial Father's past. Back then, when you were 16, you left the mountain to work in the family store. Now that we're adults, we can cultivate in the palace all day long. We have as many resources as we want. Compared to when you were young, you are already very superior. You don't need any other care." Wang Daoyuan patted him on the shoulder and said, "Ming Ren is sensible now. Go somewhere else to cultivate. I have something to discuss with Ancestor Myriad Spirits." The two nodded and left the secret chamber. Myriad Spirits' ancestor glanced at him and said with a smile, "Perfect essence, energy, and spirit. Even when the Valley of Beasts was at its peak, no one could achieve this. Unless you can break through the current cultivation system, you can only continue to improve your essence, energy, and spirit after breaking through to the semi-god realm. It seems that you want to go to the Qixing Si Shushin community again to find an opportunity to break through to the semi-god realm. Before leaving, I was worried and wanted to leave some means to protect the Yen kingdom." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "You're really shrewd with age. You've guessed my thoughts. Originally, I wanted to leave my clone, Jia Qi. He is already at the late stage of yuanying and has learned many of my methods. In addition, I refined some sword puppets. Even if the demon clan attacks in large numbers, they will only be courting death. But previously, I captured a spirit demon alive and killed a spirit demon grand elder. It can be said that I have formed a grudge with the spirit demon clan. Although the spirit demons don't dare to be arrogant in the human clan, they must be vigilant. After all, the spirit demons come and go without a trace. They secretly attack the Yen kingdom and no one can stop them. The spirit demon grand elder I killed before was already at the top of the semi-god realm. The spirit demon clan has existed for hundreds of thousands of years and has a deep foundation. There must be many spirit demons of the same strength. I'm worried that after the matter of capturing the spirit demon is exposed, the spirit demons will attack the Yen kingdom. With you guarding the city, there is no need to worry about the Qingli city. But the Yen kingdom is so big and the clansmen are scattered everywhere. It will be difficult for you to resist the attacks of the spirit demons alone. I want to refine a Dharma artifact that is specially used to restrain the spirit demons. Any cultivator at the early stage of yuanying can use it to restrain a peak stage yuanying spirit demon. Patriarch Myriad Spirits pondered for a long time before saying, the spirit demons are special ghost cultivators. Their entire bodies are very similar to ghosts. Ghosts are afraid of many things, such as thunder, the sun, and the divine beasts of the White Tiger clan. Legend has it that the son of the Qianyuan realm was transformed from the first golden crow in the world. The bloodline of the golden crow has a great restraining effect on the spirit demons. Your red-feathered crow is good. Although he hasn't broken through to the mid-grade of the 5th level, he can borrow the power of the sun to fight enemies. When dealing with the human clan, this method can only increase 1 or 2 points of strength. But when dealing with evil, the power is extremely terrifying. Ming Chen's Nanming primordial fire naturally has a similar function, but his cultivation is still too low. If your fat tiger can break through to the 5th level, it will be even better. The Soul Eater tiger is the guardian of the gate to the underworld, and the spirit demons can only be regarded as his snack. There is also the person in charge of the treasure tripod branch of the Divine Weapon Pavilion. Although he is only at the middle stage of the yuanying realm, he has inherited the Purple Thunder Divine Flame of the Purple Thunder Deity. This divine flame contains extremely powerful thunder and fire laws, which is the nemesis of all evil. With them, even if the spirit demons come, 1 or 2 peak stage yuanying realm cultivators won't be able to take advantage of them. I know that. Master plans to stay at Yuchuan Peak for a long time, and with the Linglong Pagoda, it won't be a problem to deal with a peak stage yuanying spirit demon. I have the Red Yang primordial fire, so the red-feathered crow won't be of much help to me. It's not bad to stay and watch over the place. I'm just worried that there will be too many experts from the spirit demons, and Master and the red-feathered crow's cultivation is insufficient. You won't be able to deal with them. If you can refine a magic artifact specifically to restrain the spirit demons, give it to Jia Qi to use. With his cultivation and magic artifacts, it will be a piece of cake for him to take down a peak stage yuanying spirit demon. Patriarch Myriad Spirits thought for a long time before saying, the spirit demons appear and disappear unpredictably, and you are the first person to catch a spirit demon. Generations of disciples in the Valley of Beasts have never even seen a spirit demon, so there is no magic artifact specifically designed to deal with them. There are quite a few magic artifacts to deal with ghost cultivators. We can modify them to restrain the spirit demons. Among the magic artifacts to deal with ghost cultivators and other evil spirits, there is a magic artifact called the Heavenly Yang Mirror. This thing is refined from a Yang attribute spirit item and the soul of the Golden Crow bloodline. However, you have the true fire of the Scarlet Sun sealing some rootless fire, and the mirror can also have the same effect. This mirror can emit a beam of light containing pure Yang energy, which is extremely effective against evil spirits. In addition, the Heavenly Yang Mirror can also absorb sunlight and store it in the mirror. It can be released when facing an enemy, and it is extremely powerful. When facing an enemy, it can directly reflect sunlight. The effect is not bad. However, the spirit qi in Shoshian has just recovered to level 5, and level 5 refining materials are extremely rare. To deal with a peak stage Yuanying spirit demon, it is best to have a level 5 high-grade heavenly yang mirror. In terms of refining materials, you will have to think of a way. Wang Daoyuan thought for a moment and took out a piece of metal the size of a palm. As soon as this material appeared, it constantly released rich yang energy, just like the sun. Patriarch Myriad Spirits looked and nodded. Level 6 mid-grade brilliant sun gold, good stuff. If your refining skills are high enough, refining a level 6 high-grade heavenly yang mirror will be a small matter with this thing. However, your refining skills are only at level 5 high-grade. It is too wasteful to use this thing rashly. It is better to use a little brilliant sun gold as an auxiliary material and add it to other yang attribute materials. To refine a level 5 high-grade heavenly yang mirror, adding a piece of brilliant sun gold the size of a soybean is enough. Chapter 975. This piece of dazzling sun gold was obtained by Wang Daoyuan in the 7 Stars Secret Realm. At that time, he had just passed the nascent soul heavenly tribulation and was absorbing the gifts of heaven and earth. Perfected Golden Light of the 7 Stars Alliance wanted to take advantage of the situation but was killed instead. This piece of dazzling sun gold was found in his storage bag. At that time, he was only a 4th rank refiner and could not use a 6th rank mid-grade material. It would be a pity to sell such a good refining material, so he kept it in the space of the spirit pearl next to the red yang true fire. Unfortunately, the grade of the spirit fire in the space was not high enough to upgrade it. After so many years, he could only barely maintain a 6th rank mid-grade. Who would have thought that this thing would come in handy? Wang Daoyuan asked, since only the bean-sized dazzling sun gold is used, how should I choose the other materials? Patriarch Myriad Spirit smiled. That depends on what good things you have. Even if you have the dazzling sun gold, other materials are also very important to refine a 5th rank superior grade heavenly sun mirror. It's just that the requirements for the grade are lower. A 5th rank low-grade refining material is more or less enough. It's best if there are yang or fire attribute spiritual materials. Non-attribute spiritual materials are also fine, but the effect is much worse. The refined heavenly sun mirror needs to be nurtured for a long time to achieve the desired effect. Wang Daoyuan still had some 5th rank refining materials. He had obtained a lot of them in the Qixing Si Shushin community. In Beiyuan, he had also collected many special 4th rank superior grade refining materials. These materials used to be of very high grades, but without the nourishment of high-grade spirit energy, their grades slowly decreased. After Wang Daoyuan obtained these materials, he put them in the space of the spirit pearl. With the spirit fire of the corresponding attribute to replenish his spiritual energy, many of them had recovered to the 5th rank mid-grade. He could still take out some 5th rank mid-grade materials. He took out a fist-sized piece of metal material. It was still flickering with a pale yellow light and emitting a scorching aura. Patriarch Myriad Spirits was still knowledgeable. This golden sun iron crystal is a bit interesting. It's a 5th rank mid-grade refining material and has a lot of yang energy. Most importantly, the material itself is very bright after it is refined. It is very suitable to be used as a mirror. This golden sun iron crystal was obtained when he explored the purple gold river branch in the Valley of Beasts. At that time, it was only a 4th grade high-grade crystal. It had been more than 100 years since he had obtained the golden sun iron crystal. All these years, he had placed it beside the scarlet yang real fire in the spirit pearl space. It had absorbed a lot of level 5 spirit qi and pure yang qi. Wang Daoyuan took out another piece of wood. Patriarch Myriad Spirit sighed and said, "You really have a lot of good stuff. It's a middle grade tier 5 Fusang spiritual wood." This spirit wood was much stronger than the blood fire hibiscus in the divine weapon pavilion. It was a pity that it had already withered and died. It was the most suitable material to refine the outer frame of the heavenly sun mirror. Since they were both yang attribute spirit materials, they should be able to complement each other. The hibiscus spirit wood could also increase the power of the scarlet yang true fire. With this, the power of the heavenly yang mirror could be increased even more. Although I know how to refine artifacts, I have never participated in refining artifacts. In terms of actual operation, I can't help much. You still have to rely on yourself. The blood fire hibiscus in the spirit pearl space was nourished by the scarlet yang real fire and had the scarlet feather crow resting in it. It was already very close to the real hibiscus tree. Even patriarch myriad spirits couldn't tell that it was the blood fire hibiscus. I have the Xian Xian cauldron. It has followed the Xian Xian supreme god for thousands of years. It has extremely rich experience in refining artifacts. It will have no problem guiding me. Patriarch myriad spirits took out a few blank jade slips and engraved some things on them. This is the refining method of the heavenly yang mirror. With the Xian Xian cauldron, I don't need to do anything. Wang Daoyuan took the jade slip and looked at it carefully. The refining method of the heavenly yang mirror is not difficult. With the help of the Xian Xian cauldron, should be able to succeed in one try. The earth fire room in Clear Glass City is too noisy. I'd better return to Jade Spring Peak. Ever since the establishment of the Yen Kingdom, Clear Glass City had become the core of the Wang family. A large number of cultivators were gathered in Clear Glass City. The headquarters of the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce was also here. Naturally, there were many alchemists and artificers. 4 or 5 large earth fire rooms had been dug in the city, but they were barely enough. Every earth fire room was very lively. Wang Daoyuan left Clear Glass City and returned to Jade Spring Peak. He came to the earth fire room in the underground cave abode, took out the Xian Xian cauldron, and injected it with the red yang true fire. He brought out all the tools he knew about artificing and began to prepare the materials. As a mid-grade 6th tier material, the brilliant sun gold was really not easy to deal with. He first placed it in the Xian Xian cauldron to be calcined. After more than 10 days, it softened a little. Wang Daoyuan took out the origin returning sword and cut off a small piece of the brilliant sun gold the size of a soybean. He kept the rest in the space of the spirit pearl to continue nurturing. After that, he needed to completely fuse the brilliant sun gold and the golden sun iron crystal together. It took half a month to soften it, and even longer to completely melt it. He also had to use all his strength to activate the red yang true fire, so he couldn't keep it in the space of the spirit pearl. It took him more than 3 months to complete the smelting. If not for the help of the Xian Xian cauldron's low artifact spirit, Wang Daoyuan really couldn't handle this brilliant sun gold by himself. The rest of the work wasn't difficult. He only needed to forge the processed materials. The smelted golden sun iron crystal was forged into a mirror surface. The blood fire hibiscus wood was made into a mirror frame, and some golden sun iron crystal essence was smelted into it to increase its strength. Then, the back of the mirror and the mirror frame were inscribed with artifact patterns. A piece of meteorite iron needed to be placed between the mirror frame and the mirror surface to carry the red yang true fire. With the guidance of the Xian Xian cauldron's artifact spirit, there were no mistakes in the entire process. After doing all this, he drew out the red yang true fire and placed it on the meteorite iron. Then, he assembled the mirror frame, and meteorite iron together and smelted it with the red yang true fire. After the 3 were fused into one, he kept it in the Xian Xian cauldron. All that was left was to nurture it. At this step, the refining of the artifact was a success. As long as the crafting cauldron wasn't overturned, there was no possibility of failure. However, the quality of the nurturing had a great impact on the grade of the artifact. If a 5th grade artifact was nurtured well, it could become an upper grade 5th grade artifact. If it wasn't nurtured well, it could drop to a lower grade 5th grade artifact. Wang Daoyuan didn't have anything else to do, so he didn't put the Xian Xian cauldron into the space of the spiritual pearl. Instead, he nurtured it himself outside. As the nurturing time increased, the spiritual energy fluctuations coming from the Xian Xian cauldron became stronger. 2 years later, the spiritual energy fluctuations stabilized, which meant that the heavenly sun mirror was completely nurtured. He took out the heavenly sun mirror from the Xian cauldron, and a pale golden light shot into the sky. This golden light contained a strong yang qi. If it wasn't deep underground, this dazzling light could be seen from thousands of miles away. After a dozen breaths, the golden light gradually faded, and it looked like an ordinary mirror. The entire heavenly sun mirror was about a foot in diameter. The surface of the mirror was pale golden and polished until it was smooth. It could be used as a dressing mirror. The frame of the mirror was fiery red and carved with various patterns. There was also a golden crow sculpture on the back. It had reached the upper grade 5th grade and was close to the peak of the 5th grade. Wang Daoyuan injected fire attribute spirit energy into the heavenly sun mirror, and a pale golden light shot out. Wherever the golden light went, the rocks ignited with pale golden flames. Although he didn't have a ready-made peak-grade Yuanying spirit demon to practice with, Wang Daoyuan could still see its power. The Hun Ju he killed in the Arctic icy plains wouldn't last more than a breath under this heavenly sun mirror. As long as he was illuminated, even if he could escape into the underworld in time, he would inevitably be severely injured. If he reacted slightly slower, he might not be able to escape in time and would be burned to death by the golden light of the heavenly sun mirror. The heavenly sun mirror was ready. Although this Dharma artifact was powerful, it had to be able to find the target. The soul-chasing compass was very useful for searching for spirit demons. Wang Daoyuan wanted to keep one for himself, and it would be best if Qingli City also had one. In the future, this heavenly sun mirror would be given to Jia Qi to use, so he naturally had to have a soul-chasing compass. He also needed to refine 2 yin-yang compasses. Xue Quan's clone in the Spirit Pearl had already refined the prototype of the soul-chasing compass. The rest was up to Wang Daoyuan to inscribe the inscriptions. After another 2 months, he finally finished refining and nurturing the 2 soul-chasing compasses. Chapter 976. Wang Daoyuan planned to head to the Qixingxi Shuxian community, but this matter was not urgent. If he stayed in Beiyuan Shuxian, even if the spirit demons knew that he killed Hun Ju, it would not be a big deal. As long as there were no stage 6 spirit demons, stage 5 spirit demons would be courting death. Wang Daoyuan not only wanted to go to the Sea of 7 Stars to find an opportunity to break through, but also to establish the Wang family's power there. The Qixingxi Shuxian community was also north of the decimating heaven abyss. Although the 2 places were separated by the vast sea, the 10,000 corpse spiritual master could come over with his demon beast avatar. Other Imperial Regency disciples could also come to Beiyuan with their demon beast avatar. If left alone, it would be a huge threat to Beiyuan Shuxian. Moreover, Beiyuan Shuxian had declined to this extent, but there was still a Son of Providence. The resources in the Sea of 7 Stars were much better than in Beiyuan. The possibility of another Son of Providence appearing was very high. If he did not make arrangements in advance, when that Son of Providence unified the Sea of 7 Stars, Beiyuan would only be conquered. There was the Blue Dragon ruins in the east of the Sea of 7 Stars, which had a stage 7 spirit vein. If there were Mahayana cultivators hiding there, then the north of the decimating heaven abyss would belong to them. For Grand Ascension stage cultivators, spatial barriers were no big deal. If he wanted to make the north of the decimating heaven abyss into his backyard, he had to eliminate this threat. The Blue Dragon ruins was too dangerous. Those below the Mahayana realm had no confidence in surviving, so he could not think about it for the time being. However, he still had to make plans in the Sea of 7 Stars. It was still unknown when the War of Providence would break out. If he did not make preparations as soon as possible, it would be too late when the War of Providence approached. If he could not subdue the Qixingxi Shuxian community, there was no hope of winning the War of Providence. The 2 cultivation worlds were too far apart. Even a stage 5 flying ship would take several years to fly. Wang Daoyuan had the Spirit Gathering Pearl and could use the space of the Spirit Gathering Pearl to restore its spiritual power. In the future, if he were to transfer his clansmen over, he would not be able to drift on the sea all day. If the clansmen relied on spirit stones to drive the flying boat, a few 100,000 high-grade spirit stones would be gone after a single trip. With the Yen Kingdom's resources, how could they withstand such a consumption? Moreover, the two places could not be cut off. Otherwise, a portion of the clansmen would be stranded overseas, and it would be difficult to ensure that they were united with the clan. If he wanted to use Beiyuan and the Sea of Seven Stars as his rear, he must have the ability to mobilize resources. There had to be communication between the two places, and they had to be able to transport supplies to each other. This required the establishment of a transfer station between the two places, as well as a relatively reliable large-scale flying artifact. The distance between the two places was too far. It was impossible to set up a transfer station in a short period of time. The only thing he could do now was to create a new type of flying magic tool. He didn't ask for too much. At the very least, this kind of magic tool had to be fast while conserving spiritual energy. Whether it was using the spirit-gathering pearl, spirit stones, or cultivators to drive it, conserving spiritual energy was very important. Wang Daoyuan had always had this idea, but unfortunately, he didn't have the time to do it. Now that his essence, energy, and spirit had been cultivated to the extreme, and his elixir, equipment, and talisman arrays had also reached the upper grade of the 5th level. Without a large number of materials to practice, it would be difficult to make further progress. There was really not much to do, and now was not a good time to leave. He just happened to have time to think about this matter. He had already planned the improvement route. When he refined the flying kite in the foundation establishment stage, it had already proved that the aerodynamics of his previous life was still applicable in the Qian Yuan realm. The core of the flying boat and the flying warship were mainly the floating array and the propulsion array. Needless to say, the propulsion array was to provide speed for the flying boat. The floating array provided the flying boat with the power to ascend. The heavier the things were, the more spiritual energy it would consume. The two cultivation worlds were so far apart. It was not easy to travel, so the more people and materials, the better. The space needed was naturally very large, and the weight was not small. However, 2 wings could be added to the flying boat to provide lift. In this way, part of the work of the floating array would be shared, and the consumption of spiritual energy would naturally be reduced. Air resistance also existed. The faster it flew, the greater the resistance. This could be done by improving the shape of the flying boat to reduce the air resistance. If it flew at the same speed, the resistance would be reduced. The propulsion needed to provide the propulsion array would also be reduced, and the spiritual energy consumed by the array would naturally be reduced. When improving the flying boat, the core did not need to be changed. Some improvements were mainly made to the outer shell. The reference objects were simple. The planes in his previous life and the demon birds in this life could be used. It was very difficult to imitate the planes in his previous life. He only knew the general appearance, and knew nothing about the details. It was easier to imitate demon birds. Among the industries of the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce, there were also spirit beasts and demon birds. Any type of demon bird could be easily found. Among the spirit beasts that Wang Daoyuan raised, there were the red-feathered crow, the golden feather that was only at the 2nd level, and an avatar, the gray roc. The red-feathered crow and the gray roc were known for their speed. The effect of imitating their appearance should be good. When modifying the appearance, the flying boat did not need to be of a high grade. Just casually refine a few 2nd-level flying boats and compare them with ordinary flying boats of the same level, the effect of the modification could be seen. Wang Daoyuan was too lazy to do this. He just left it to the avatar in the space of the spirit bead. The level of pill refinement, artifact, and talisman array could reach the 4th level. Even if he did not focus on array formation and artifact refinement, he could easily refine a 2nd-level flying boat. A few days later, the avatar refined 3 2nd-level upper-grade flying boats. One of them was a very ordinary flying boat, about 10 feet long. The other 2 flying boats were more strange in appearance. One looked like a crow, imitating the appearance of the red-feathered crow. The other looked like an eagle, imitating the gray roc. The length of the 2 flying boats was about 10 feet. When modifying the appearance, Wang Daoyuan did not intend to play any tricks. The wings of the two flying boats were fixed. The outer shell of the two modified flying boats was completely sealed, and there was a door on the side for entry and exit. The avatar had already tested the basic functions in the space of the spirit bead. Levitation and slow flight were not a problem. However, the space of the spirit bead was too small. The flying boat could not be used, so there was no way to test its speed. Wang Daoyuan left Jade Spring Peak with the flying boat and came to the vicinity of the Heaven/Mountain Range. The industries near Jade Spring Peak were not developed by the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce, so there were no people here. He summoned his avatar, Qin Jiaoyi, and Liao Yang from the space of the spirit bead. The three of them each controlled a flying boat to verify the speed and spirit energy consumption. The three flying boats flew north for an hour. The unmodified flying boat was left more than 100 miles behind. This flying boat could fly about 2,000 miles in 2 hours. Now, it was left more than 100 miles behind in an hour. The speed of the two modified flying boats was more than 10% higher than the original version. There was no difference in speed between the two modified flying boats. The rock flying boat was slightly faster, but it was only a few miles ahead. The three flying boats gathered together. Wang Daoyuan checked the spirit-gathering pearls on the three flying boats. These spirit-gathering pearls were all high-grade second level. The spirit-gathering pearls on the unmodified flying boat had consumed more than 70% of their spirit energy. The flying boat that looked like a red-feathered crow only consumed 50% of its spirit energy. The flying boat that looked like a gray rock consumed even less spirit energy. It only consumed about 40% of its spirit energy. This was normal. After all, rocks were fast and relied on themselves to fly. When the Golden Crow lineage used its extreme speed, it transformed into a sun and relied on its divine ability. In terms of appearance, rocks were more suitable for flying. This was only under the situation of flying 2,000 miles in 2 hours. In the future, when building high-grade flying boats, the faster they were, the greater the air resistance. A flying boat that looked like a rock would have an even greater advantage. The subsequent improvements were all based on this flying boat that looked like a rock. Wang Daoyuan put away the three flying boats and the two avatars and returned to Jade Spring Peak. In the space of the spirit bead, the avatars continued to improve the flying boat. On the original foundation, they made it fly faster and consume less spirit energy. Chapter 977. Before the appearance of the flying boat reached the best state, he would continue to refine a high-grade second-tier flying boat. When Wang Daoyuan was at the Foundation Establishment realm, he had planted many second-tier spiritual trees in the space of the spiritual pearl, especially the golden-threaded jade spirit peach. After obtaining the Yi-wood Qingkuan gourd, he transplanted those peach trees into the gourd. He also expanded some of them and could now be used to refine artifacts. The second-tier spiritual trees were extremely abundant. It was not a big deal to refine hundreds of such high-grade second-tier flying boats. A few days later, the clone refined another flying boat. This flying boat was based on the rock flying boat. This time, it was mainly to improve the angle of the two wings of the flying boat. The flying posture of the rock was not unchanged. Usually, when flying, it would always try its best to open its wings. When attacking, it would always half retract its wings. The first rock flying boat that was refined imitated the usual flying posture of the rock. Its wings were straight. The newly refined flying boat imitated the posture of the rock when it attacked. Its wings were half retracted. Once again, he took the flying boat out for testing. It also flew for an hour. The first rock flying boat flew for nearly 1,200 kilometers and consumed 40% of its spiritual power. The second rock flying boat flew for nearly 1,400 kilometers and consumed about 50% of its spiritual power. The second rock flying boat's speed increased by a lot, and its spiritual power consumption also increased by a lot. If Wang Daoyuan used this flying boat himself, the spiritual power of the spirit-gathering pearl was infinite. Naturally, it would only pursue speed. However, if he wanted to use it to transfer his clansmen in the future, he naturally had to consider the spiritual power consumption and try to find a balance between speed and spiritual power consumption. After more than a year of continuous exploration, he finally determined two types of rock-flying boats. One was a unilateral pursuit of speed. It flew for more than 1,600 kilometers in an hour, and its spiritual power consumption reached more than 60%. The other was a pursuit of balance. It flew for more than 1,300 kilometers in an hour, and its spiritual power consumption was 45%. The former was the type that Wang Daoyuan used for his own use and was named the Lei Peng flying boat. The latter was used to transfer and transport his clansmen in the future, as well as to connect the two cultivation worlds. It was named the Kuan Peng flying boat. The Lei Peng flying boat was for his own use and did not need to be too big. Even if he brought along Zhou Wan, it wouldn't take up much space. 100 feet was enough. In the future, the Kuan Peng flying ship would have to transport a large number of clansmen. Naturally, it would be better if it was bigger. It had to be at least 300 feet long. Expanding it from 100 zhang to 100 zhang was not a simple matter. Some modifications were needed. Any kind of mature magic tool would have to go through countless modifications and improvements. Even though Wang Daoyuan had improved the flying boat, he had not improved the core. However, the speed of Lei Peng's flying boat was far superior to that of ordinary flying boats. His speed had increased by as much as 60%, so it was very likely that there would be problems. Although he didn't plan to refine this flying boat into a flying warship, he still needed a tool pattern to increase its strength. When the shape of the flying boat changed, the tool patterns had to change as well. He would come up with an improvement plan, and his clone would refine it in the space of the Spirit Pearl. After that, he carried out all sorts of destructive experiments, such as flying for tens of thousands of miles at full power. While flying at high speed, it had to stop and turn suddenly. Under such extreme conditions, the flaws of the flying boat were easily exposed. After making up for the many flaws, Wang Daoyuan began to refine the Tier 5 Lei Peng flying boat with ease. He didn't have many Tier 5 mid-grade refining materials, so he could only use them to refine the core of a Tier 5 high-grade flying boat. The outer shell was casual, and using Tier 5 low-grade refining materials was already very good. After working for 5 to 6 years, Wang Daoyuan refined a Tier 5 high-grade Lei Peng flying boat. There was no need to rush to refine the Kuan Peng flying boat for the time being. After all, there wasn't even a place to stay in the Sea of Seven Stars. This time, only Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were going to the Sea of Seven Stars. He wouldn't bring the other clansmen. It wouldn't be too late to move the clansmen over after finding a place to stay. After refining the flying boat, Wang Daoyuan left the Jade Spring Peak and arrived near the Heaven/Mountain Range. He took out the flying boat and flew north along the Heaven/Mountain Range. The speed of this Lei Peng flying boat was about 40,000 kilometers in 2 hours. After killing Old Master Huang in the Sea of Seven Stars, the high-grade Tier 5 flying boat he obtained from him only flew 23,000 kilometers in 2 hours. Most Soul Formation cultivators' flying speed was only slightly more than 30,000 kilometers in 2 hours. With this Lei Peng flying boat, even if he was chased by a Soul Formation cultivator, it wouldn't be a big deal. The speed of the Lei Peng flying boat was more than 60% faster than ordinary flying boats of the same level. After flying for the same amount of time, the Lei Peng flying boat consumed slightly less spirit energy. If it was calculated based on the same distance, the Lei Peng flying boat's spirit energy consumption was less than half of that of an ordinary flying boat. After flying for 50,000 to 60,000 kilometers, the flying boat turned around and headed south. On the way, Wang Daoyuan even tried to change directions and stop abruptly. Fortunately, he had put in a lot of effort during the refining process, and the materials were also very good, so there weren't any problems. He flew south back to Qingli City and came to the imperial study in the palace. At this time, Wang Mingxian's cultivation had already reached the late stage of the Golden Core realm. From the looks of it, he could try to form his nascent soul in another 20 years. Wang Shui and Wang Daochang were also here. Wang Shui's cultivation had already reached the peak of the Golden Core realm, and he was only a little bit away from forming his nascent soul. Wang Daochang's cultivation was a little weaker, and he hadn't broken through to the late stage of the Golden Core realm yet. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "12th uncle, your cultivation has finally caught up, and you should be able to form your nascent soul soon. I have already prepared the nascent soul fruit, the 5-element spiritual objects, and the Tier 5 Dharma artifacts needed to form your nascent soul. As long as you comprehend them, you can form your nascent soul at any time." Wang Shui sighed. "I've only been a foundation establishment seedling in my family since I was young. I didn't expect to have a chance to form my nascent soul." Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "I don't have much use for these things. Selling them to outsiders is disadvantageous to our Yen kingdom. By the way, I came here this time to tell you something. I've already reached the limit of the Yuanying realm and my strength can't improve. Soon, I will leave Beiyuan and go to the Qixing Si Shuxin community to find an opportunity to break through to the soul formation realm. I plan to leave some backup plans in my family." Then, he took out a soul-chasing compass and gave it to Wang Mingchen. "You should know this thing. Keep it well and it will ensure the safety of Qingli City. Jia Qi is my clone, and his strength is not inferior to that of a Grand Demon King. With him in Beiyuan, we don't have to worry about the demons coming to cause trouble." Then, he took out a beast skin book and an interspatial ring. "This is the secret technique inheritance I got from the Sea of 7 Stars. It can be used to split part of your soul to control your clone. There are a few Tier 5 puppets in the interspatial ring. You can use this secret technique to control the puppets. If a few puppets attack together, a Grand Demon King will be nothing in your hands. 12th uncle, you should also cultivate this secret technique and control a Tier 5 superior grade sword puppet. After you break through to the Yuanying realm, with the help of the sword puppet, you will have the combat strength of a peak level Yuanying. With this secret technique and the puppet technique, the strength of our Wang family cultivators will increase a lot." Wang Mingchen took all these things. "Father, don't worry. I know the importance of this secret technique. I will never leak it." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "There's no hurry to go to the Sea of 7 Stars. This time, I will take your mother with me. How's the integration between the Wan Chuan merchant group and the Blood Shadow branch? What's the reaction of the Blood Shadow headquarters? The countries near the sky/mountain range have reached an agreement with the Yen kingdom and allowed the Wan Chuan merchant group to enter. In these countries, the Blood Shadow branch has completely integrated with the Wan Chuan merchant group. The Zheng state has also agreed to let the Wan Chuan merchant group in. The integration will happen soon. The Wei state hasn't reached an agreement yet. Brother Mingshan is discussing it with them. Mother sent a letter saying that a few elders in the Blood Shadow branch expressed their dissatisfaction, but they are elders without any real power. The Zhang family and the Su family both support Mother. Among the non-lineal elders, more than half of them are under Mother's command. A few elders object, but they can't do anything." Chapter 978. The speed at which the Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce took over the various branches of the Blood Shadow was very fast. The Chamber of Commerce had already entered the state of Zheng, and further west was the state of Zhou. Zhou Jingyuan was now the emperor of the state of Zhou. How could he go against his uncle, Wang Daoyuan? The Zhou family was also a disciple of the Valley of Beasts, and Wang Mingchen was the sect master of the Valley of Beasts. They did not dare to make things difficult for the Wan Chuan Chamber of Commerce. The state of Zhou had a vast territory and was in the center of all the countries. As long as the Chamber of Commerce could take over the branches of the Blood Shadow in the state of Zhou, it would be very easy for them to expand to other places. As for the state of Wei, it should be because the royal family was too weak and could not make many decisions on their own. Each sect had their own ideas. For example, the Jinshan sect had a feud with the Wang family. However, the difference in strength was obvious, and they would give in sooner or later. This progress is very good. In another 20 to 30 years, the Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce should be able to enter all the countries, and there will be no need for me to manage. I plan to make a trip to the headquarters of the Blood Shadow to solve some future problems. In case your mother and I leave, those people at the headquarters will cause trouble. If you encounter a difficult enemy, just send a message to Jia Qi. I'll leave something for him. There should be no one in Beiyuan who can threaten him. Then, he left the palace and drove the Lei Peng flying boat to the south. When he arrived at the Wanchuan market, he handed the heavenly sun mirror and a soul-chasing compass to Jia Qi. Now, there was no need for him to stay at the Wanchuan market, and he could patrol the territory of the state of Yen. Wang Daoyuan piloted the Thunder Rock flying ship and continued heading south. Now that he had switched to another ship, his speed was much faster. Without using all his strength, he could fly more than 30,000 miles in 2 hours. The only flaw was that the 4 sides were sealed, and he could not see the scenery. In only 2 days, the flying boat arrived at the headquarters of the Blood Shadow in the southern wilderness. He was already familiar with the place, and the disciples guarding the gate also knew him, so no one dared to stop him. After arriving at the headquarters, he went straight to the small courtyard of the Zhou family. Zhou Wan was not at home. She should be handling business in the meeting hall. Wang Daoyuan took out the token, opened the array, and walked in. Not long after, Zhou Wan returned from the assembly hall. When he walked into the small courtyard, he saw Wang Daoyuan drinking wine in the courtyard. He was pleasantly surprised. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Lord Shadow Master, did you encounter some good news?" Zhou Wan put on a straight face and snorted, "So it's the retired emperor of the Yen kingdom. What can I do for you?" Wang Daoyuan waved his hand, and a cool breeze blew past. Zhou Wan floated over. He hugged her and said with a smile, "Shadow Master, are you still angry with me? You haven't been sending any messages for the past 10 years. Have you forgotten about the old because you have a new lover? How would I dare? In order to find a way to convert spiritual energy into divine sense, I hid my cultivation base and went to Snow Dragon City in the Arctic ice field. After spending some time there, he killed a soul demon and captured another one alive. Then, he went to the Archaic Mysteries sect and asked the divine sense imprints of those ancient mighty figures to transform the inheritance of the soul demon into a secret technique that humans can cultivate. Now, my essence, energy, and spirit have reached the limit of a Yuanian cultivator and can't be improved anymore. So, I plan to go to the Qixing Sea Shuxian community to find an opportunity to break through to the soul formation realm. In the next few years, I've been thinking of ways to improve the flying boat. The Qixing Sea Shuxian community has much more resources than Beiyuan. If I can't take down the Sea of 7 Stars, the safety of Beiyuan Shuxian can't be guaranteed in the future. So, I have to create a flying boat suitable for a large number of people to migrate. Now that I've made a breakthrough, I have time to come and accompany you." Zhou Wan's anger subsided, and there was some sadness on her face. "Are you leaving again?" Wang Daoyuan was touching her. "It's not that I'm leaving, it's that we're leaving. Before I left last time, I said that I would take you out. This time, I should fulfill my promise. It's too boring to drift on the sea for a few years. With Lord Shadow Master, there's always something to do, don't you think so?" Only then did she become happy. She hit Wang Daoyuan's naughty hand. "Behave yourself. At least you still have some conscience and didn't forget your promise. I'd better not go. There are a lot of things to do here at the Blood Shadow headquarters. If I leave, the Zhang and Su families will be disloyal again, and all our efforts over the years will be in vain. Lord Shadow Master, don't worry. I've already thought about it. I'll move some of the core members of the Zhang and Su families to the north of the Yen kingdom, so that the rest of them won't have enough prestige. My clone Jia Qi, ancestor myriad spirits, and many sword puppets are in the Yen kingdom. Not to mention an early nascent soul stage cultivator, even a peak nascent soul stage cultivator wouldn't be able to do much. The people left behind at the Blood Shadow headquarters don't have enough strength and prestige. Although First Elder Zhang Yu has a high status, his subordinates are weak. In this way, the three forces will be balanced, and no one will dare to go against the Yan kingdom. Then, I'll transfer Dao Jian to the headquarters and make him an elder with real power. No one will dare to act rashly. Plus, we won't be gone for too long. The last time I went to the Sea of Seven Stars, I wasted a few decades. The main reason was that I was too weak, and there were too many good things I wanted to find. This time, I only have two goals. One is to find the pure yin and pure yang spiritual items needed to break through to the soul formation realm. The other is to find a foothold for future expansion into the Sea of Seven Stars. After these two things are settled, we'll come back. The place where we can find the pure yin and pure yang spiritual items is called the Sunset Abyss. I have the map of the Sunset Abyss. There are many deserted islands at the periphery of the Sea of Seven Stars. It won't be difficult to find a suitable foothold. Plus the time it takes to go back and forth, it'll take at least 10 years. In such a short time, the Blood Shadow won't be able to do anything. Only then did Zhou Wan relax. It's good that you're prepared. I've lived for more than 500 years, but I've never seen the sea. This time, I have to take a good look at the scenery outside. My cultivation has already reached the peak of yuanying. Your cultivation hasn't caught up yet. We have to hurry up and help you improve your cultivation. In the next few months, Zhou Wan spent most of her time in the small courtyard. She rarely went to the meeting hall to deal with official business. She would only go there every few days to deal with some important matters. With Wang Daoyuan's help, her cultivation improved very quickly. However, there was still a gap between her and the late stage of yuanying. At this rate, she should be able to break through in another 3 to 5 years. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan had just woken up when there was a knock on the door. He scanned with his divine consciousness and found that it was Zhang Dingming and Su Qinghe who came to visit at the same time. Su Qinghe's cultivation had also broken through to the yuanying realm. It seemed that this guy had been hiding his strength before. Wang Daoyuan controlled the array and let them in. The two of them came to the courtyard and bowed to Wang Daoyuan. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "No need to be so polite. What are you two doing here?" Zhang Dingming, the old fox, just laughed. "Nothing important. We're just here to pay our respects to Your Majesty. Congratulations to Your Majesty for making great progress in your cultivation. I think it won't take long for you to break through to the semi-god realm." Su Qinghe also flattered, "Congratulations, Your Majesty. You can expect to reach the semi-god realm." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "You don't have to be so polite. How's the migration of your two families going?" The Yan Kingdom's Monan County and Hanhai County have long been established. The Wanshuan Chamber of Commerce has also developed a lot of industries there and formed many small markets. The Grand Elder will be the governor of Hanhai County and the Second Elder will be the governor of Monan County. When do you plan to take up your posts? Hearing this, the two of them were delighted. Wang Daoyuan had agreed to let them move to the Yan Kingdom and even gave Zhang Dingming the position of governor. The Su family had joined the Yan Kingdom earlier and should also have a governor position. It was just that there had been no news in the past few years and the two of them were very nervous. After all, the two yuanying cultivators were the biggest obstacle for Wang Daoyuan to take over the Blood Shadow. The two of them were really worried that they would be secretly killed. Now that they had received a promise, they were reassured and the fear in their hearts disappeared. Su Qinghe quickly cupped his hands and said, "I've already made the preparations. About half of our family has already migrated. We can take up the posts at any time." Chapter 979. Zhang Dingming didn't want to be left behind and said, "I'll go whenever the retired emperor wants me to." It was great that the two of them were willing to cooperate. If the two yuanying cultivators left and took some people with them, the Zhang and Su families' influence in Blood Shadow would be greatly reduced. As the first elder, Zhang Yu could barely manage the situation. Su Qinghe had always been the second elder. Now that he was gone, the third elder, Chao Jing, should fill the vacancy and become the second elder. Chao Jing had long since joined the Wang family. There was a Chao family in Guiyan County, and the head of the family was Chao Jing's youngest son. He wasn't talented, and now that he was old, he didn't have much hope of breaking through. He didn't have any outstanding descendants, so he naturally didn't have much ambition. He was someone who could be put in an important position. When Wang Daojian came, he could directly become the third elder. In this way, after Zhou Wan left, the decision-making team could remain stable. Then you should go as soon as possible. The Yan Kingdom has already made preparations. However, after the second elder became the governor of South Desert County, things in Blood Shadow will be difficult to manage. The third elder, Chao Jing, will fill the vacancy and become the second elder. My younger brother, Wang Daojian, has expanded several branches since he took over the Shanbei branch. It's not appropriate for such a talent to stay in the branch. What do the two elders think? Su Qinghe quickly said, Hall Master Wang Daojian has made great contributions and should be transferred back to the headquarters. He can fill the vacancy of the third elder. Zhang Dingming also said, Hall Master Wang Daojian was personally taught by you. He has deep attainments in the Tao of sword cultivation. In terms of fighting ability, few below the Yuanying can match him. It's a waste of talent for him to be a hall master or an ordinary elder with real power. The position of third elder belongs to him. Wang Daoyuan nodded. In that case, when Zhou Wan has time to deal with official business, we'll take care of this matter. The two nodded and chatted for a while before leaving. After sending the two people away, Wang Daoyuan returned to the room. Zhou Wan was still lazily lying on the bed. Wang Daoyuan sat by the bed and said with a smile, I've sent the two of them away. Why don't we continue cultivating? Zhou Wan hit him lightly. Go to hell. I still have to deal with official business tomorrow. How can I meet people like this? You need to recover your strength today, so stop fooling around. Wang Daoyuan also stopped teasing her. He used the star-patterned sea cucumber to make some food for Zhou Wan to nourish her. Early the next morning, Zhou Wan left the small courtyard and went to the conference hall. After waiting for more elders to arrive, Su Qinghe stood up and cupped his hands. Reporting to Shadow Lord, this subordinate has already broken through to the Yuanying realm. From now on, this subordinate will focus on cultivation and will no longer be able to manage the headquarters affairs. I want to resign from my position as the second elder and focus on cultivation. Zhou Wan pretended to be surprised. The second elder has worked hard for Blood Shadow and has never made any mistakes. Your contributions are obvious to all. How can you resign so easily? Su Qinghe said again, this subordinate is focused on cultivation and has no time to manage worldly affairs. I hope Shadow Lord can fulfill my wish. Zhou Wan sighed. Forget it. We cultivators focus on cultivation. Since you don't want to manage worldly affairs anymore, I won't force you. However, you've worked hard for Blood Shadow for hundreds of years. If I allow you to resign, I'm afraid the elders will be disappointed. You should follow the example of the previous great elder and become the Grand Supreme Elder of Blood Shadow. From now on, you can focus on cultivation and won't have to manage worldly affairs. Su Qinghe bowed. Thank you, Shadow Lord. No need to be so polite. You deserve it. The second elder has been promoted to Grand Supreme Elder and the third elder, Chao Jing, has been promoted to second elder. Now that the position of third elder is vacant, who should be promoted to take over? Zhang Yu answered, in recent years, Blood Shadow has been safe and sound. There have been very few people who have made great contributions. In terms of outstanding contributions, the current Shanbei branch hall master, Wang Daojian, is at the top. When he took over the Shanbei branch, he was only in charge of a second-grade Qingli branch. Now that 60 years have passed, the Shanbei branch already has 5 second-grade Shanbei branches. They have even set up branches in the Arctic Ice Plains and Linhai Prefecture, 2 places that Blood Shadow has never set foot in. To Blood Shadow, this is a great contribution. If they don't reward him, they'll be disappointed. In my opinion, we should summon Wang Daojian to the headquarters and take over as third elder. All the elders knew about Wang Daojian's matter. The Shanbei branch's territory could rapidly expand completely because of the Yan Kingdom's envoy. However, as the Shanbei branch hall master, Wang Daojian could only be credited to him. If this layer of window paper was broken, wouldn't it mean that Blood Shadow was a subordinate force of the Yan Kingdom? In reality, this was indeed the case. However, they couldn't admit it. The Wang family entering Blood Shadow and replacing the Zhang and Su families as the new leaders was a secret that everyone in Blood Shadow knew. It was only a matter of time before someone from the Wang family became Blood Shadow's Grand Elder. Wang Daojian had also grown up in the Blood Shadow branch, so entering the headquarters was completely in line with the process. This was giving Blood Shadow enough face. There was no reason for him to stop them, nor was there any meaning to it. As soon as Su Qinghe said this, many of the elders spoke in agreement. Zhou Wan also agreed. Since that's the case, then summon Wang Daojian back to the headquarters to take on the role of third elder. The Shanbei branch hall master position will be temporarily taken over by the deputy hall master. When there are suitable people, it won't be too late to send him over. The Shanbei branch hall master was Wang Dekong. He was Wang Shoufeng's descendant and had been managing intelligence in the Blood Shadow Mountain branch. After establishing his Violet Palace, he was promoted to Deputy Hall Master of the Shanbei branch. Now, the Blood Shadow branch that had merged with the Wan Chuan merchant group, apart from managing businesses, only dealt with intelligence. Wang Daojian was the same. There were no requirements in terms of cultivation, so Zifu realm cultivators were completely qualified. The others also knew that the Wang family controlled the branch and no one was willing to be bullied. Naturally, they had no objections. Zhou Wan continued, since all the elders have no objections, let's go to the ancestral hall and confer Su Qinghe as the second grand elder of Blood Shadow. After that, the group went to the ancestral hall and went through the ceremony of conferring the title of supreme elder. Wang Daoyuan sent a letter to Wang Daojian, asking him to come to the Blood Shadow headquarters and take on the role of third elder. A few days later, Wang Daojian arrived at the Blood Shadow headquarters. Although he was the hall master of a branch hall and had a status comparable to an elder, he had never come to the headquarters before. Wang Daoyuan even sent a Wang family member to welcome him. Over the years, many Wang family members had come to the Blood Shadow headquarters. Although their cultivation wasn't high, they would be able to nurture a group of Golden Core elders in a few decades. Wang Daojian first came to the small courtyard of the Zhou family. As soon as he entered the courtyard, he bowed to Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan. Greetings, seventh brother and seventh sister-in-law. Wang Daoyuan took out a universe ring. We're brothers, so there's no need to be polite. Your seventh sister-in-law and I are preparing to travel the sea. There needs to be a Wang family member overseeing the Blood Shadow headquarters. You should have learned the doppelganger soul nurturing technique. There's a mid-grade tier 5 sword puppet inside. Refine it into a doppelganger. With this sword puppet, you don't have to be afraid of anyone who dares to cause trouble in the Blood Shadow headquarters. If you can deal with it normally, then deal with it normally. If you can't, then be ruthless. Wang Daojian took the universe ring and nodded solemnly. Seventh brother, don't worry. Although I'm not very strong, it won't be difficult for me to manage the Blood Shadow headquarters. I naturally believe in your abilities. Go and hand over the third elder's affairs to Chao Jing. A month later, Zhang Dingming and Su Qinghe left the Blood Shadow headquarters in the name of traveling. When they left, they didn't say anything. Only a few people knew about it. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan weren't in a hurry to leave the Blood Shadow headquarters. Instead, they continued to stay here. In the next year or so, Zhou Wan rarely went to deal with affairs. All the big and small affairs were dealt with by the three elders. After they were done, the Blood Shadow headquarters seemed to have returned to the state when there was no Shadow Master. Chapter 980. Over the past year, Wang Daojian's position had been consolidated. The main forces of the Zhang and Su families were in the Yan kingdom. There was an endless stream of flying boats between the headquarters and the north of the mountain. Currently, more than half of the two families had been moved there. The powerful elders of the two families also followed Wang Daojian's lead. Qiao Jing did not have much ambition and did not have his own forces. Naturally, he listened to Wang Daojian. Although Zhang Yu had the support of many non-direct elders, he would not make an enemy of the Wang family. He would first ask for Wang Daojian's opinion on everything. As the third elder, Wang Daojian's actual power was greater than the previous first elder. He had established his prestige and had a mid-grade level 5 sword puppet in his hand. He was strong enough in both soft and hard ways. Moreover, Wang Daojian wasn't a greenhorn who was inexperienced. When he was young, the Wang family was only a foundation establishment family. Later, when Wang Daoyuan took down Fallen Dragon Ridge's Jade Pine Mountain, he was among the first group of people to guard it. At that time, there were many demon beasts in Fallen Dragon Ridge, but there were no experts to guard it. They could only rely on the protection of a large formation. In terms of experience in dealing with demon beasts, he was definitely not lacking. Later, when they were stationed in the Five Elements Mystic Realm and the Wang family began to infiltrate the Blood Shadow branch, he was among the first group of people to enter. At that time, the Wang family was still very weak and could not afford to offend the Blood Shadow. He had truly grown up by completing assassination missions. In terms of rich experience, he was second only to Wang Daoyuan and the Wang family. The elders of the Blood Shadow headquarters were not strong enough. There was no hope at all for them to take him down. Wang Daojian had gained a foothold in the Blood Shadow headquarters. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan could also leave in peace. When Zhou Wan left, she did not deliberately hide it. She used the excuse of going to the Yan kingdom to see her child and left openly. Most of the past shadow masters of the Blood Shadow did not manage much. It was normal for Yuanian cultivators to go into seclusion and not come out for dozens of years. The headquarters was managed by the three elders and a group of powerful elders, so there would not be any trouble. The two of them left the Blood Shadow headquarters and returned to the Yan kingdom under the escort of the elders. After sitting on Lei Peng's flying boat, the speed surprised Zhou Wan. "The flying boat you've improved is too fast." "That's right. I've spent so much effort. If I don't have some skill, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? It's a pity that this cabin is sealed, and I can only use my divine sense to observe the surrounding scenery. I was thinking of taking a good look at the seascape after going out to sea. This is the first Lei Peng flying ship that I've refined. It's not perfect yet. I was planning to improve it by using transparent materials to build a few viewing platforms on the outer shell." "Then why didn't you make any improvements after staying in Blood Shadow's headquarters for so long?" Wang Daoyuan hugged Zhou Wan from behind. "With the Shadow Master by my side, how could I have the mind to do anything else?" "How about?" Zhou Wan hit him on the hand. "I'm still waiting to go back and see the three children." "Be serious." 2 days later, the two of them arrived at Yan country's Qingli city. They had already sent a message beforehand, so the three children were already waiting in the air outside the city. When the two flying boats met, Zhou Wan impatiently came out of Lei Peng's flying boat and landed on Wang Mingqian's auspicious cloud. Wang Mingqian and Wang Mingren bowed. Children pay respects to mother. Wang Mingxian was very casual and directly threw herself into Zhou Wan's arms. "Mother, I haven't seen you for a long time. I always wanted to run to see you, but Big Brother said it was too dangerous outside and didn't let me go out." Zhou Wan gently patted Wang Mingxian's back. "You're already a big girl, yet you're still acting spoiled in front of mother. Your cultivation is not bad, you've already reached the peak of foundation establishment. Cultivate well. Mother is still waiting to see you open up your zifu." Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian were already over 30 years old, and their cultivation had already reached the peak of foundation establishment. From the looks of it, they should be able to open up their zifu earlier than Wang Delan. Wang Mingxian's personality was very similar to Zhou Wan's. When she heard Zhou Wan mention her cultivation, she had a proud look on her face. I could have opened up my Zifu long ago, but Grandpa Myriad Spirits wanted me to accumulate more. He said that only by accumulating more can my future path be smoother. The family landed in the backyard of Qingli City's imperial palace, which was also a harem. However, Wang Mingqian had never married, and Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan didn't live in the palace. Usually, only a few maids were here to clean up. However, Wang Mingxian often ran to the harem. There were many exotic flowers and fruits here, which were very attractive to her. After arriving at the harem, Wang Mingqian pointed to a tall palace and said, "Father, Mother, this is Changle Palace, the residence prepared for you." The family walked into Changle Palace, and Ancestor Myriad Spirits also flew out of the pagoda. He glanced at Zhou Wan and said with a smile, "You are indeed a descendant of Tianping. Your phoenix bloodline is very similar to his." Zhou Wan hurriedly bowed. Zhou Wan of the Zhou family greets Ancestor Myriad Spirits. "Thank you for taking care of our 3 children. There's no need to be so polite. The Valley of Beasts has withered. The Zhou family can be considered part of the Valley of Beasts, so I wanted to come out and take a look. These 3 children are all extremely talented, and they have the Zhou family's bloodline. Taking care of them can be considered as doing my part to continue the Valley of Beasts." Wang Mingxian asked, "Grandpa Myriad Spirits, now that my parents are back, Brother Mingren and I can open up our Zifu, right? Over the past few years, you have been preventing me from breaking through. Brother Mingren's cultivation has already caught up to mine." Ancestor Myriad Spirits sighed. "Young people are impatient. Since your parents are here, you can do as you please." Hearing that Ancestor Myriad Spirits had no objections, Wang Mingxian threw herself into Zhou Wan's arms and acted coquettishly. "Mother, I heard from Grandpa Myriad Spirits that after I opened up my Zifu, I could freely control spiritual plants to fight my enemies. My strength is not inferior to a sword cultivator's." Zhou Wan patted her head. "Forget it. A difference of a few years won't make much of a difference. Your father's foundation was not very good when he was young. Later on, he obtained sufficient spiritual items and was able to cultivate to perfection. The 2 of you are extremely talented and did not lack resources since you were young. Your accumulations should not be too bad. Open up your Zifu." Wang Mingxian was overjoyed. "Thank you, Mother." Wang Mingqian took out 2 purple cloudwood cores. "I won't join in the fun when my siblings open up their Zifu. I still have a lot of work to do in the imperial study. Although you are much more talented than me and have no use for these 2 purple cloudwood cores, it's better to be prepared." Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. "Go. The country's affairs are more important." Wang Mingqian left the harem. Wang Mingxian and Wang Mingren each took a piece of yin-yang purple jade. Wang Mingxian looked at Wang Mingren defiantly. "I can't beat you. Wait until I open up my Zifu and can control spiritual plants. Let's see how I'll get my revenge." Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan looked at each other and smiled. They shook their heads. These 2 children had never suffered before. They were in their 30s and still had the temper of a child. The 2 of them each found a large hall and prepared to open up their Zifu. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan temporarily sat in Changle Palace. Soon, the rooms on both sides of Changle Palace's main hall emitted a dazzling purple light. The siblings had never lacked spiritual items since they were young. They ate all kinds of spiritual fruits like rice. Naturally, their foundations were very solid. After a while, 2 purple balls floated above Changle Palace. Wang Mingxian's embryonic Zifu was slightly larger, with a diameter of 8.7 inches. Wang Mingren's was slightly smaller, with a diameter of 8.5 inches. This talent was probably second only to Wang Daoyuan. Wang Mingxian's Zifu opening speed was slightly faster. Soon, a large ball of pure spiritual energy appeared out of thin air. The ball of spiritual energy absorbed the surrounding spiritual energy and turned into a large green tree. This tree was still absorbing spiritual energy. The tree grew bigger and bigger, and its crown soon surpassed the Imperial Apex Hall. The Imperial Apex Hall was the tallest building in the entire clear glass city. The decorations at the top of the hall were more than 150 feet tall. However, the tree's growth speed didn't slow down. A spiritual energy vortex formed around it. After a few minutes, the tree became a huge monster and enveloped the entire clear glass city. Chapter 981. There were many spirit plants planted in Qingli City. Under the cover of the tree, they were full of vitality. In particular, the spirit plants in Changel Palace had begun to grow rapidly. Patriarch Myriad Spirit flew in from outside. His face was filled with joy, sadness, nostalgia, and other complex emotions. After more than 100,000 years, I didn't expect to see Azure Wood again. Wang Daoyuan asked, Patriarch Myriad Spirit, you said that Azure Wood's purple mansion phenomenon was a green sapling. Do you have some misunderstanding about saplings? Such a big sapling is really rare. Patriarch Myriad Spirit looked at the towering tree and smiled. The purple mansion phenomenon will slowly change. You don't have to worry too much. It's just that Mingxian's talent is too powerful. The movement of opening her purple mansion is much greater than Azure Wood's. If Azure Wood didn't die in battle, he would have cultivated to the Earth Immortal realm. Clearly, her talent is above his and she has a ready-made cultivation technique. Unlike Azure Wood, who spent a lot of time deducing cultivation techniques, it shouldn't be difficult for her to reach the Earth Immortal realm. Before he finished speaking, the spiritual energy vortex around the green tree became stronger and stronger. Not only did the green tree stop growing, it became smaller and smaller. After a few minutes, the tree shrank to about 5 inches tall. Then, it gradually turned into a sapling pattern that was engraved on Wang Mingxian's purple mansion. On the other hand, the green bamboo in Changel Palace grew more than 3 feet tall. Cracks even appeared on the ground of the bamboo garden. Dozens of bamboo shoots broke through the soil and grew more than a foot tall. At that moment, a tiger's roar sounded. Beside Wang Mingren's purple mansion, a white tiger divine beast appeared. The white tiger divine beast's might was extremely powerful. The Sika deer and other spirit beasts in the harem were all trembling in fear. The white tiger raised its head and let out a tiger's roar. Many spirit beasts collapsed to the ground in fright. Some useless fellows actually fainted right away, leaving behind a pile of 5 grains reincarnation items beside them. The maidservants who cleaned the harem were also trembling in fear, not daring to come over. Although the white tiger's aura was powerful, it wasn't as powerful as Azure Wood's. Its range of influence was limited to the palace. After a few minutes, the white tiger's body emitted a dazzling silver light. The silver light gradually dissipated, and the white tiger disappeared. What appeared before his eyes was a silver longsword with a white tiger carving on its hilt. The white tiger's divine beast aura was still the same as before, but it now had a hint of killing intent. Patriarch Myriad Spirits nodded in satisfaction. The Wang family will prosper. Brightblade's Violet Palace phenomenon is identical to Divine Lord Slaughter's. God Monarch Slaughter was also a peerless genius. He had cultivated to the late stage of the Mahayana realm before the age of 5,000. At that time, the essence, energy, and spirit in his body that had turned into immortal power was already very close to half. He was only a hair's breadth away from becoming a mighty figure. Moreover, he was also a top-notch sword cultivator. Only a few sword immortals could defeat him. Unfortunately, he fell in a great battle and was unable to advance any further. However, his life-killing sword art was definitely not inferior to an almighty's inheritance. Ming Ren's talent is slightly better than his. His future achievements will only be greater. The silver longsword slowly shrank and eventually turned into sword runes that were engraved on Wang Mingren's purple palace. The two of them had never encountered any danger, and their lives had been very smooth since they were young. Naturally, they didn't have any inner demons. After meditating in front of the purple palace for a moment, the soul easily walked in. Soon, the two purple palaces descended. Above the two side halls, spirit chi vortexes began to appear. 6 hours later, Wang Mingxian and Wang Mingren ran out of the hall one after the other. The moment Wang Mingxian came out, she ran to the place where the spirit plants grew in Changle Palace. She condensed a ball of jade-green spirit energy in her hand. With a light wave of her hand, the jade-green spirit energy spread out. The green bamboo in the bamboo garden was stained with the jade-green spirit energy. The hundreds of bamboos seemed to come alive. The bamboo tips bent towards Wang Mingxian as if they were worshipping her. Wang Daoyuan scanned the bamboos with his divine perception and found that there seemed to be a spirituality similar to a soul in them. This spirituality was very weak, far inferior to that of an ordinary flying insect. Patriarch Myriad Spirit stroked his long beard with a smile on his face, looking gratified. Wang Daoyuan asked, "What's going on with these bamboos?" "It's extremely difficult for spirit plants to gain sentience." "How did Mingxian casually sprinkle a bit of spirit energy and let them take the first step?" "At this rate, in a few hundred years, they will become bamboo demons or bamboo spirits." "What do you think the second wood spiritual body's spirituality means?" "If there weren't any benefits, why would the spirit plants be controlled by Mingxian?" Back then, divine venerable Greenwood was the same. The second wood spiritual body caused his spirit energy to have a trace of special energy. As long as the plants are stained with this energy, they will give birth to an extremely weak spiritual consciousness. Don't be fooled by the weak spiritual consciousness. It's extremely difficult for plants to gain spiritual consciousness. Especially the step of starting from nothing, it's extremely difficult to take. Even those divine trees that have lived for hundreds of thousands of years can't take this step. As long as it completes the process of starting from nothing, its spiritual consciousness will slowly increase in the future and it will eventually become a plant spirit. This is the same principle as raising spirit beasts. However, the plant spirits that are enlightened by the second wood spiritual body are more loyal than demonic beasts. If you have any powerful spirit plants, it's best to prepare some for her. Normally, I just nurture these spirits of nature, which is much more powerful than the spirit plants that I temporarily create. Wang Daoyuan nodded. That's not a problem. Although I don't have any high-level spirit plants suitable for combat, the Myriad Rivers Chamber of Commerce has collected a lot over the years. Everything else aside, it's not a problem to find a few 3rd and 4th grade spirit plants suitable for combat. It's just that this special spirit energy won't cause any damage to Mingxian's body. I'm worried that she will consume too much and it will affect her future path. Patriarch Myriad Spirits chuckled. Don't worry. Spiritual bodies are derived from laws. Enlightening spirit plants is a special ability that comes with the second wood spiritual body. This ability was innate, just like how spirit bodies increased the speed of cultivation. As long as the Qian Yuan realm still has the power of laws, the spiritual body's power will not be exhausted. Back then, Divine Venerable Greenwood was obsessed with spirit plant farmers. In more than 10,000 years, he enlightened more spirit plants than you have ever seen, and he didn't see any problems. If he doesn't die in battle, it won't be difficult for him to step further into the immortal Tao. Mingxian's talent is above Divine Venerable Greenwood's, so there's no need to worry. Wang Mingxian saw Wang Mingren walk out and shouted, "Second brother, I couldn't beat you before. Let's compete again." Wang Mingren had always been belligerent. Now that he had a chance, he naturally wouldn't let it go. He took out his 2nd grade superior grade longsword and said with a smile, "Sister, be careful." With that, he waved his longsword, and a cold killing intent gushed out. Wang Daoyuan was taken aback. This is sword intent? She can comprehend sword intent just after opening her purple mansion? Patriarch Myriad Spirits laughed. What do you think? If she doesn't even have this ability, wouldn't a sword body be the same as an ordinary battle body? This is just the beginning. A sword body is a natural sword cultivator. In the future, her progress on the path of sword cultivation will be more and more terrifying. On the other side, Wang Mingxian was not to be outdone. She once again released a ball of green spirit energy and sprinkled it on the bamboo. After receiving the benefits, the bamboo worked extremely hard. The bamboo poles shook lightly, and bamboo leaves fell from the bamboo branches. The bamboo leaves didn't fall to the ground. Instead, they shot toward Wang Mingren's sword qi. The bamboo leaves were still too weak and couldn't withstand a single blow from the sword qi. When a bamboo leaf touched the sword qi, it was instantly split in half and fell to the ground powerlessly. The sword qi's power didn't decrease, but it dimmed slightly. There were more than 1,000 bamboo leaves shooting out from the bamboo forest. After the first sword qi cut down 100 bamboo leaves, it quietly dissipated. Wang Mingren waved his sword again and again, and sword qi filled with killing intent slashed out. Wang Mingxian also shot out more bamboo leaves to fend off the sword radiance. The brother and sister fought for more than 10 rounds, and they were evenly matched. Their strength was something that even Midzifu realm cultivators would find difficult to resist. Wang Daoyuan was very proud that his children were so promising. Mingren, Mingxian, stop fighting. If you continue, the entire Chang'e Palace will be barren. Chapter 982. Hearing Wang Daoyuan's words, Wang Mingren and Wang Mingxian stopped. The entire Chang'e Palace was filled with broken bamboo leaves. Half of the originally lush and verdant bamboo forest was now bare. Wang Daoyuan smiled. You're evenly matched, so it's a draw. Wang Mingxian looked at the bamboo forest and shook her head. Second brother still won. The bamboo leaves in the forest won't last long, but second brother still has a lot of spiritual energy left. These bamboos can only shoot bamboo leaves to attack. If we continue to fight, the bamboo leaves will be exhausted, and I'll be defeated. Seeing her disappointed, Zhou Wan walked out of the main hall of Chang'e Palace and came to Wang Mingxian's side. She hugged her and comforted her. Don't worry. Patriarch Myriad Spirits said that the spiritual plants you've nurtured for a long time are much stronger. Go ask your brother for some spiritual plants suitable for battle. After nurturing them for a while, Mingren won't be a match for you. Wang Mingren was still using a grade 2 longsword. If he changed to a grade 3 lifebound magic artifact, his strength would take a huge leap. However, he was already mature and didn't compete with his sister. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Now that you've both opened up your Violet Palace, you'll have to listen to Patriarch Myriad Spirits for your next cultivation step. The two bowed and followed Patriarch Myriad Spirits back to the Imperial Study. The two children had outstanding talent. Zhou Wan reverted to her old ways with a proud expression. My children have great talent, unlike you who opened up your Violet Palace at over 100 years old. Wang Daoyuan immediately retorted, you didn't give birth to them yourself. Isn't it thanks to me? Zhou Wan glanced at him, but couldn't find any excuse to refute. She could only snort and return to the main hall of Chang'e Palace. Wang Daoyuan followed her in. Shadow Lord, I plan to return to Jade Spring Peak and refine another Lei Peng flying boat. Are you coming back with me, or are you staying here to accompany the children? Of course I'm accompanying the children. I haven't seen them for many years, so I have to spend more time with them. Why would I go back with you when you're so detestable? When Zhou Wan was proud, she always liked to insult him. Wang Daoyuan had long been used to it. Then I'll head back first. Whenever you miss me, you can come to Jade Spring Peak to look for me. Who would miss you? Get lost. Wang Daoyuan left Clear Glass City and returned to the underground cave of Jade Spring Peak, preparing to refine the second Lei Peng flying boat. The outer shell of the flying boat and even the device that converted spiritual energy into the power of law didn't require him to do it himself. He only needed to refine the core part. With his current divine sense cultivation, refining a set of flying boat cores was not difficult at all. After half a year, the core of the flying boat was completely refined. On the outer shell of the flying boat, not only was an observation deck added, but some other things were also improved. It took him a few days to assemble the entire flying ship. He was about to go to Qingli City to explain some things to Wang Mingchen before leaving Beiyuan Shoshin. To go out to sea. The formation of the underground cave was opened, and Zhou Wan walked in. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, "Shadow Lord, did you miss me?" "Shameless. Who misses you?" Ming Ren and Ming Xian have cultivated for a long time and want to go out to experience, so Da He followed them out. Mingchen has to cultivate in addition to dealing with official business every day. I was bored staying there, so I came back here to take a look. After all, we've lived here for more than 100 years. This is our home. Has your flying boat been refined? The new Lei Peng flying boat has been refined. In addition to the observation deck, some simple modifications have been made. When Ming Ren and Ming Xian opened their purple mansion, it was too noisy. I'm afraid it will be targeted. If ordinary people make a move, Da He can handle it. But if the Soul Demon clan makes a move, it will be troublesome. Anyway, Jia Qi has nothing to do now, so let him secretly protect Ming Ren and Ming Xian. With a thought, Jia Qi came to the underground cave in a short time. Wang Daoyuan gave him the 5th level high-grade Lei Peng flying boat. If he could bring the cultivated spiritual plants with him, it would be much more convenient to use them. Although this flying boat didn't have an observation deck, it was fast enough. Jia Qi was left in Beiyuan by Wang Daoyuan to deal with the Soul Demon. Since there was a problem in the Yan Kingdom, he naturally had to take action. With the Lei Peng flying boat, it was more convenient to support everywhere. He also gave him a 3rd level high-grade Yi Wood Xinkuan gourd and asked him to give it to Wang Mingxian. In order to exert the greatest power of the Yi Wood spiritual body, spiritual plants must be cultivated in advance. With this gourd, it was more convenient to cultivate spiritual plants. I've already made the preparations. As long as I give the nascent soul fruit and the auxiliary materials for nascent soul to Mingchen, everything will be fine. Do you have anything else to tell me? If not, let's set off now. To avoid trouble, we'll leave quietly this time. We'll go deep into the Mirage Fog Sea from the Purple Gold River Valley. In that case, the demons won't be able to find us. When we're far away from the sky/mountain range, there won't be any 5th level demons. I've added an invisibility array on the Lei Peng flying boat. Demons below 5th level won't be able to find us. Zhou Wan was still a little reluctant. We're leaving so suddenly. I really can't bear to leave the children. The children have grown up. They have to go out and explore. Ancestor Myriad Spirits is watching over Mingchen. Mingren and Mingxian are being watched by Jia Qi. They won't be in any danger. Besides, it won't take us long this time. You stay here and see if there's anything you need to bring. I'll go tell Mingchen some things. He came to the Imperial Study in Qingli City and entered a secret room with Wang Mingchen. He took out a universe ring. There are 5 nascent soul fruit and a piece of 5 elements essence in here. It's enough for 4 or 5 people to form their nascent souls. In addition, there are some 5th level defensive Dharma artifacts that I casually refined. With these things, it won't be a problem for you and 12th uncle to form your nascent souls. Wang Mingchen took down the universe ring and took out another universe ring. Father, you told me to find meteorites, star cores, spatial materials, and materials like crystals to refine the universe gourd. Over the years, the Chamber of Commerce has been searching in secret. We found a lot of meteorites and crystals. However, we didn't find many spatial materials and star cores. We only found 5 star cores and 5 kilograms of spatial materials. All the star cores and spatial materials are here. We found too many meteorites and crystals. We only put about 1/5 of them in the ring. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Star cores are hard to come by. These are enough. I've told you what I need to tell you. Your mother and I will leave Beiyuan and go to the Sea of 7 Stars. I've left a lot of backup plans. The Yan Kingdom and Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce can continue to do what they need to do. We'll leave secretly this time. We'll announce to the public that your mother and I are cultivating in seclusion. Then, he left Qingli City and returned to Jade Spring Peak. On the way, he put the universe ring given by Wang Mingchen into the space of the spiritual pearl and gave it to his doppelganger to check. The spatial material inside was the space stone. It was pitch black and extremely hard. From time to time, it would flash with spatial fluctuations. The space stone was one of the most common spatial materials. A few kilograms of space stone could be added to refine spatial magic tools like the universe ring. The 5 kilograms of space stone was enough to make dozens of universe rings. Star cores were rare. There were only 3 in total in the space of the spiritual pearl. 2 were given by immortal Lei Yan. The other one was snatched from the Sea of 7 Stars. Now, it had reached the upper grade of the 5th rank. The 5 star cores obtained by Wanchuan Chamber of Commerce were all of the upper grade of the 4th rank. The doppelganger took them out of the universe ring. The star cores floated up automatically and stopped at the place with the densest purple gas. Then, they started to absorb the purple gas crazily. As time went by, the star power in the star cores became stronger and stronger. It wouldn't be long before they could emit starlight. By then, there would be more places to grow star fruits and star-patterned sea cucumbers in the space. Chapter 983. Wang Daoyuan returned to the Jade Spring Peak and went to the underground cave abode. Zhou Wan was rummaging through the boxes and cabinets, and some things were piled up on the bed. Lord Shadow Master, are you going to move? Why are you making such a big fuss? Looking at these old things, I want to take away all of them. The interspatial ring I carry with me is too small. Give me 2 interspatial rings and I'll pack more clothes. Wang Daoyuan had no choice but to take out 2 larger storage rings and give them to her. Back then, it took a lot of effort to move from the North Mountain branch to the Jade Spring Peak. He packed a lot of clothes, but she didn't wear many of them. Why are you bringing so many clothes? The clothes of cultivators won't get dirty. Just bring a few. What do you know? This trip may take more than 10 years. 1 change a day will take thousands of clothes. Wang Daoyuan had nothing to say. The clothes of cultivators were all magic artifacts. They were not stained with dust and were not easy to damage. If she didn't experience fierce battles, it was not a problem for her to not change clothes for decades or even centuries. She had to change clothes a day and pick out thousands of clothes. When she changed, she had to ask herself which one was the most beautiful. After a long time, Zhou Wan finally said, I've brought everything I want. Let's go. Wang Daoyuan breathed a sigh of relief. Let's hide first and go near the Serene Mountain. The underground cave there leads to the Zijin River Valley. The 2 put on the black magic robe and used a concealment technique. They left the Jade Spring Peak and headed northeast. This time, they left secretly, so they didn't bring any spirit beasts. There was only 1 Yun-Yi in the space of the spirit pearl. Since the last time they captured the spirit demon, they put him into the space of the spirit pearl and never let him out again. This guy caused destruction everywhere when he went out. It was better to keep him by his side. At the critical moment, he could be of some use. Everything had its weakness. Yun-Yi was now being forced to cultivate by the Xian all day, and he didn't dare to resist. Now that his cultivation had reached the upper grade of the 4th level, he could break through to the 5th level at any time. However, it was very difficult to advance further due to the restrictions of his bloodline. He could only rely on time within the space of the spirit pearl to make up for his lack of bloodline. When his soul-devouring nether tiger bloodline was sufficient, he would not have to worry about bottlenecks anymore. The 2 of them quickly flew to the vicinity of South Serene Mountain. The Wang family had developed this area for decades, and it was now prosperous. A large city with a radius of more than 10 miles had been built on the South Serene Mountain. There were more than 100,000 members of the Wang clan in the vicinity, and many itinerant cultivators had settled down here. The Yan Kingdom had already established the Serene South County, which governed the sky beheading mountain range north of the Huiyan Mountain. The county was governed by the serene South City. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan didn't approach serene South City. Instead, they entered the underground cave 100 li south of the city. Half a day later, the two of them passed through the karst cave and arrived at the Zijin River Valley. Now that the heavenly/mountain range's spirit vein had recovered to Tier 5, even the clouds and mist in this place had become denser. However, Wang Daoyuan's divine sense had also made great progress. He could still explore the situation 100 miles away. Is this the Zijin River Valley? I've never seen such a thick fog before. Moreover, there's a special power of law in this fog. If you absorb a little bit, it will cause interference to your own power of law. The fog here is from the Mirage Fog Sea. It's a method set up by the Valley of Beasts in the past. If you cultivate in this fog without special means, it's very easy to suffer from qi deviation. You'd better not absorb the spiritual energy. It won't be too late to cultivate after we fly out of the Mirage Fog Sea. Wang Daoyuan took out Lei Peng's flying boat. The two of them entered the flying boat, and the entire flying boat flew towards the east at an extremely fast speed. In the control room at the head of the flying boat were Chen Zhaoyi and Liao Yang's two clones. With them, Wang Daoyuan didn't need to spend time controlling the flying boat. Lei Peng's flying boat quickly flew out of the Zijin River Valley and entered the Mirage Fog Sea. They didn't keep flying east, but northeast. Wang Daoyuan had the entrance token of the Valley of Beasts. He could sense the location of the Myriad Beast Island and use it to determine the direction. After flying for more than half a day, Lei Peng's flying boat finally left the Mirage Fog Sea. This place was located at the edge of the extreme cold ice field. To the north was the boundless ice field, and to the south was the magnificent sea. On the surface of the sea directly below, there were countless pieces of floating ice and large icebergs. At this time, the flying boat had already activated the invisibility array. Even a rank 5 demon couldn't discover Lei Peng's flying boat without special detection methods. Zhou Wan had already used her divine sense to explore the scene outside. Daoyuan, where's your observation deck? I haven't seen the sea with my own eyes. Quickly open the observation deck. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. At the belly of Lei Peng's flying boat, a row of 3 feet wide boards automatically retracted, revealing the transparent material under the boards. A circle of transparent windows appeared on Lei Peng's belly. Inside the window, there was a corridor. Zhou Wan was as happy as a child. She ran around the corridor and enjoyed the beautiful scenery around. Wang Daoyuan said with a smile, not only is there an observation deck inside the flying boat, but you can also open a skylight above to see the scenery outside. When Zhou Wan heard that there was a better place to see the scenery, she quickly said, quickly open the skylight. Let's go outside and have a look. Wang Daoyuan also took Zhou Wan to the upper cabin. Soon, they came to the uppermost cabin of Lei Peng's flying boat. This cabin was only 2 feet square. The furnishings in the room were very simple. There was a table and 2 reclining chairs. The boards above the cabin shrank to both sides, revealing a hole slightly larger than the cabin. The cabin began to rise, and the cabin floor just happened to fill the hole. The table and reclining chairs in the cabin appeared on Lei Peng's back. The periphery was protected by a formation, so it would not be affected by the fierce wind. Wang Daoyuan took out some spirit fruits from the space in the spiritual pearl and placed them on the table. He then lay down on one of the reclining chairs. Shadow Lord, are you satisfied with this place to see the scenery? Zhou Wan lay on the other reclining chair. She pinched a few grapes and put them in her mouth. She ate while looking at the surrounding sea. Not bad. It's more interesting to see the scenery here. Your refining skills are finally useful. The two of them ate and drank while looking at the scenery. They stayed on Lei Peng's back for more than a day. I haven't seen the sea for hundreds of years. I've finally seen enough. I don't know how many dangers there are ahead. I want to improve my cultivation as soon as possible. I hope I can help you. I'm going to start cultivating. Is there a cultivation room on the boat? Wang Daoyuan smiled evilly. Of course there is. I specially arranged the cultivation room. Follow me. The two of them came to a very spacious cabin. The furnishings here were exactly the same as the rooms in Blood Shadow's headquarters. There was also a very luxurious bed in the cabin. The bed was fiery red. The spirit energy fluctuations showed that it was a low-grade level 5 magic artifact. This is a bedroom, not a cultivation room. I'm cultivating with you. Doesn't that mean we have to be in a bedroom? I haven't had the time to improve the Cloudy Rain Sutra. We still need to spend more time studying it. There might be many dangers ahead. You still want to waste your energy? My cultivation method has been improved. As long as I circulate it slightly, it will produce large amounts of blood essence and spiritual sense. However, my essence, chi, and spirit are complete. I can't use them to strengthen my body and soul. My body can't contain that much either. It's a pity to waste them. It's better to help you cultivate. Wang Daoyuan only needed to take out the spirit-gathering pearl from the space in the spiritual pearl every few days. He would then put the pearl that had used up all its spirit energy back into the spiritual pearl. He would use the rest of his time to cultivate with Zhou Wan. The two clones were very busy. Not only did they have to control the flying boat, but they also had to observe the situation around them. When they encountered islands and volcanoes, they had to stop and observe carefully. In the future, if they wanted to connect the two cultivation worlds, there would be many transfer stations along the way. There would also be people guarding them. It would be best if there were many people living in the transfer stations. He couldn't let these people live in the sea or on the unstable sea ice. The islands they encountered along the way were all potential transfer stations. Chapter 984. It would take a long time to set up a transfer station between the two cultivation worlds. The first thing to be set up was a communication array. If the two cultivation worlds didn't have a stable method of communication, the foundation built on the Sea of 7 Stars in the future would be like rootless duckweed. Blood Shadow's communication array could only send messages over a distance of 50,000 kilometers at most. The communication array on the Sea of 7 Stars was about the same. The inheritance in the Valley of Beasts was much more advanced. The two communication arrays could be as far apart as 150,000 kilometers. Of course, if the distance was too far, the requirements for array materials would be too high, and the consumption of spirit power would be too great. If the distance was too close, there would be too many array formations to set up from Beiyuan to the Sea of 7 Stars. It would be best to maintain a distance of 200,000 kilometers between the two communication arrays. The communication arrays also had to be built on islands with spirit veins. Although there were many islands on the sea, it was still quite difficult to ensure that there were spirit veins and that the distance was suitable. They might even have to set up some man-made islands in places with spirit veins. After leaving the Mirage Fog Sea for more than a month, there were no more traces of 5th stage spirit chi. After all, the spirit chi in the heavenly/mountain range had just recovered, and the spirit chi in Beiyuan Xiuxian had not completely covered it. In a short time, the spirit chi in the heavenly/mountain range couldn't spread over here. Without the 5th stage spirit chi, there would naturally be no 5th stage demonic beasts here. Lei Peng's flying boat also reduced the consumption of spirit power of the invisibility array formation to ensure that it could hide from 4th stage demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan was currently studying array formations in his room. If he wanted to set up a communication array in the future, he would need to improve the original array formation according to local conditions. He would try to increase the communication distance as much as possible and reduce the requirements for materials. He didn't need to care about the consumption of spirit power. The communication array formation was built on a place with spirit veins. As long as the spirit veins were stable, the array formation wouldn't have too many problems. Soon, Zhou Wan woke up. Wang Daoyuan smiled and said, "Lord Shadow Master, you haven't gotten out of bed for more than a month. You brought so many clothes, but you didn't use any of them. Zhou Wan glared at him and said weakly, isn't it because of you? I want to eat star-patterned sea cucumbers. Make some more for me. Isn't this also to help you cultivate? The star-patterned sea cucumber is ready. After saying that, he took out a few dishes from the space of the spirit pearl. Under the command of Wang Daoyuan, the clone in the space was quite good at cooking. Lei Peng's flying boat flew along the boundary between the ice field and the sea for more than 2 years. Wang Daoyuan sensed the aura of level 5 spirit qi, which meant that the Qixing Sea Shuxian community was not far away. Along the way, they had to stop frequently to explore the volcano on the island, and sometimes they had to take detours. However, this speed wasn't slow at all. It was even shorter than the time he took to return from the Sea of 7 Stars. When he was refining the Lei Peng airship, he used good materials and put in a lot of effort, so the airship didn't have any serious problems. The 2 clones were also working very hard. They used more than 10 beast skin books to record the situation of the islands along the way. This was also the first logbook of Beiyuan Shuxian community. There were hundreds of thousands of islands recorded. In addition to the approximate location, the size, shape, and whether there were spirit veins on the islands were recorded. In the future, they would have to screen out suitable places to build arrays or transit stations from these islands. Now that they were at the edge of the Sea of 7 Stars, it would be too conspicuous to take the Lei Peng airship again. A ball of dark green spiritual energy appeared in Wang Daoyuan's hand. It contained a rich life force. With a gentle wave of his hand, the mass of spiritual energy flew to Zhou Wan and soon completely merged into her body. Shadow Lord, wake up. We have reached the edge of the Qixing Sea Shuxian community. Now we need to change to an ordinary flying boat. Do you want to get up yourself, or do you want me to carry you to the new flying boat with your bedding? With a large amount of vitality, Zhou Wan immediately woke up, but she was still a little confused. She rubbed her eyes. Huh? We're here so soon. If Shadow Lord thinks it's too fast, I can fly around the Qixing Sea Shuxian community. We can stay on the flying boat for a while. Who wants to stay here? You go out first. I'll change my clothes. We're an old married couple, still. Zhou Wan glared at Wang Daoyuan, and he quickly slipped out of the room. People under the eaves had to bow their heads. Zhou Wan's cultivation had also broken through to the late stage of yuanying, and her strength had improved a lot. Especially the method of twisting the soft flesh on the waist, she could break Wang Daoyuan's defense again. After waiting for 4 hours, Zhou Wan changed into a fiery red dress and walked out of the room. Wang Daoyuan praised, Shadow Lord is still so radiant. Hearing the praise, Zhou Wan had a complacent expression. You have good taste. What should we do next? According to what you said before, the late stage and peak stage yuanying cultivators in the Sea of 7 Stars are also the pillars of the major forces, and they won't be sent out easily. Won't it be too conspicuous for us to run around like this? Just suppress your cultivation to the early stage of yuanying. The early stage yuanying cultivators in the Sea of 7 Stars often travel outside. However, it's best to change your appearance. Especially with your appearance, if you don't disguise yourself, I'll have to kill a lot more people. In order to prevent the cultivators in the Sea of 7 Stars from dying, it's better for you to cover up. Wang Daoyuan flattered her for a long time, and Zhou Wan was very satisfied. She used the disguise technique and changed her appearance to become a little more ordinary. She put away Lei Peng's flying boat, replaced it with an ordinary low-grade 5th-grade flying boat, and continued to head east. After traveling 200,000 to 300,000 kilometers to the east, some small islands began to appear in front of them. These islands were really too small, less than 5 kilometers in diameter. However, there were many cave abodes opened by cultivators on the islands, and many rogue cultivators went in and out. Although there were small spirit veins on the islands, it was impossible to set up a strong enough defensive formation to live on such a small area. Such an island's defensive ability against demon beasts was very weak, and it was not suitable for a large number of cultivators to live on. The first stop in the Qixing Sea Shuxian community last time, Demon Hunter Island, was an island that was more than 200 kilometers long and dozens of kilometers wide. Demon Hunter Island was definitely not small, but even so, no forces were willing to manage it. These small islands were less than 5 kilometers in diameter, but there were many cultivators living on them. It was indeed too abnormal. Shadow Lord, these islands are not normal. Maybe something has happened in the Sea of Seven Stars. Let's go down and investigate the situation. Zhou Wan still knew the severity of the matter. Seeing Wang Daoyuan so serious, there must be a problem. We'll listen to you. Let's go down and take a look. Wang Daoyuan controlled the flying boat and landed on a small island. Several late-stage golden core cultivators who flew over hurriedly saluted. Greetings, seniors. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. You're welcome. We've been traveling the Sea of Seven Stars for many years, and we've just returned. Seeing that this place is quite lively, we feel a bit strange. There's nothing special about this place, so why are there so many cultivators gathered here? An old cultivator sighed. I was born in the area of Hidden Yuan Island and cultivated there for hundreds of years. If there was nothing, who would be willing to come to this bitter cold place? Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance have started a full-scale war again, and both sides have recruited a large number of rogue cultivators. Once golden core cultivators like us are captured, we will become cannon fodder. We had no choice but to leave Hidden Yuan Island and come here to hide. This place is more than 1,000,000 kilometers away from Hidden Yuan Island, and hundreds of thousands of kilometers away from Blood Shark's territory. There are no high-level spirit veins or special spiritual items here, so the two forces don't want to care about this place. Therefore, many cultivators fled here to seek refuge. The two sides haven't fought for more than 2,000 years. Before we went out to sea, the strength of both sides didn't change greatly. Logically speaking, neither side has the strength to defeat the other. There's Mystic Ice Island in the north, and Myriad Demon Island in the south. Isn't fighting now giving Mystic Ice Island and Myriad Demon Island an opportunity? Who started this war? Senior, you're asking the wrong person. I'm just a golden core cultivator, and I don't know as much as you. How would I know why the two forces are fighting? Chapter 985. In the Qixing Sea Shuxian community, golden core cultivators were only qualified to participate in the war. These people usually worked as laborers to provide spiritual power for the flying battleships. These golden core cultivators were all independent cultivators, so they didn't know much and couldn't get much information out of them. Wang Daoyuan waved his hand. Fine, I'll ask the other Daoyu. Go do what you need to do. The golden core cultivators felt like they had been pardoned and quickly escaped on clouds. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't kill them, it was common for high-level cultivators to kill low-level cultivators if they didn't get a satisfactory answer. Zhou Wan asked, the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark are fighting. What should we do? The edge of the Ice Sea is the buffer zone between the Sea of Seven Stars and Xianzhou Island. Now, the Seven Stars Alliance and Blood Shark are fighting to the death, but they won't do anything to provoke Xianzhou Island. Even if they want to catch cannon fodder, they won't come here easily. Let's go east along the edge of the ice. We shouldn't run into any powerful cultivators. This island was only 3 to 5 miles wide. They could scan the entire island with their divine senses. The island was full of golden core cultivators, so they wouldn't have any valuable information. They wouldn't be able to find anything if they stayed on this island. The main goal of this trip to the Qixing Sea Shuxian community was to find 6th-level items of pure yin and pure yang that could help them reach the soul formation stage. These items weren't like the brilliant sun gold. Although the brilliant sun gold also had 6th-level pure yang qi, it was completely integrated into the material. The brilliant sun gold was very tough, so it was impossible to extract the pure yang qi from it. Therefore, this item could only be used as a material for refining artifacts and couldn't be used to assist cultivation. There weren't many items that could help people reach the soul formation stage in the Qixing Si Shuxian community. Most of them were controlled by the major forces. For outsiders like Wang Daoyuan, they could only find them in the sunset abyss. Legend had it that in ancient times, a golden crow fell into the sea. There happened to be a high-level Yin meridian where it fell. Therefore, the setting sun abyss formed an environment where Yin and Yang coexisted. There were many pure Yin and pure Yang spirit objects at the bottom of the sea, some of which could help cultivators break through to the soul formation stage. Before escaping from the Sea of Seven Stars, Wang Daoyuan had participated in an auction. At that time, he had bid for a treasure map of the Sunset Abyss, which recorded the various phases produced in the Sunset Abyss. The setting sun abyss was located at the edge of the endless ice sea. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan only needed to head east to reach the setting sun abyss. The flying boat headed east and flew for 400,000 to 500,000 miles. This place was only a few 100,000 miles away from the sunset abyss. Back then, he had obtained a beast-skin book from Uncle Zhong, which recorded the basic information of each island in the Sea of Seven Stars. Tens of thousands of miles south of here, there was an island occupied by blood shark called Quiet Spring Island. About a few 100,000 miles east of Quiet Spring Island, there was an island occupied by the Seven Stars Alliance called Setting Sun Island. The Setting Sun Abyss was extremely important. Neither the Blood Shark nor the Seven Stars Alliance would give up on fighting for it, so there must be a large number of cultivators stationed on these two islands. Wang Daoyuan didn't want to cause trouble, so he lowered the flying boat's altitude and flew close to the surface of the sea to avoid attracting too much attention. Along the way, he saw cultivators from the Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance patrolling from afar, but they didn't dare to approach the ice sea. Wang Daoyuan was also happy to have some free time, so he continued to head toward the setting sun abyss. At the western edge of the setting sun abyss, there was an island called Lone Star Island. This island was quite large, with a diameter of more than 200 miles. There was a mid-sized rank 5 spirit vein on the island. Lone Star Island was located at the intersection of the Seven Stars Alliance, the Blood Shark, and the Mystic Ice Island. It was also the island closest to the setting sun abyss. The three great powers didn't dare to easily take Lone Star Island under their control, so it became an ungoverned territory. Usually, cultivators who entered the setting sun abyss to search for treasures would stop here for a while. Although Wang Daoyuan didn't know nothing about the setting sun abyss, he didn't have very accurate information. He had the treasure map, the escape experience of the 10,000 Corpse spiritual master, and the information that Uncle Zhong had given him. The treasure map was from tens of thousands of years ago, and the escape of the 10,000 Corpse spiritual master had happened thousands of years ago. Moreover, the 10,000 Corpse spiritual master's cultivation was low, so he didn't go too deep. The information that Uncle Zhong had given him only involved the situation around the setting sun abyss, but there was no information about the bottom of the sea. Without accurate information, entering the setting sun abyss rashly could be dangerous. To be safe, it was better to stop at Lone Star Island for a while and inquire about the situation there. The flying boat landed on the western side of Lone Star Island. There weren't any cities or anything like that on the island. There was only a simple market without any array formations protecting it. The two of them walked straight toward the market. At the edge of the market, there was a simple wooden archway with the words, Lone Star Market, written on it. There were very few buildings in the market, and most of the cultivators who did business set up stalls. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan walked straight into the market, and no one stopped them. Although the Lone Star Market was simple, it wasn't small. It stretched for 20 to 30 kilometers, and there were many cultivators doing business there. The scorching sun coral dug out from the setting sun abyss can be used to temper yuanying. It's very useful when breaking through a cultivation realm. Don't miss it. The netherworld chalcedony obtained from the setting sun abyss can be used as a pure Yin spiritual item to temper yuanying. It's rare to see one in 100 years. Such hawking voices rose and fell one after another, as if the goods in everyone's hands were rare treasures. Wang Daoyuan was also a wily old fox who had been traveling all year round, so he had seen many of these small peddlers' tricks. A few itinerant cultivators who set up stalls came up to strike up a conversation, but he ignored them. The two of them arrived at the center of the market, where there were some buildings that weren't very tall. One of them was a gorgeously decorated shop, and the words, "Starbright Pavilion," were written on the signboard at the front door. From the discussions of the itinerant cultivators nearby, this Starbright Pavilion seemed to be a shop that sold information. Wang Daoyuan's interest was immediately piqued. This kind of shop was naturally the best place to inquire about information. The two of them walked into the shop, and a young cultivator in a white robe came up to them. "Dao, you are also here to buy information, right? Please follow me." With that, he brought the two of them to a secret room on the second floor. This person was young, but his cultivation was already at the mid-stage of yuanying. Although the white robe on his body was simple and unadorned, it faintly emitted the pure power of the stars. This person either had a dharma weapon refined from a star core on him, or he had a special constitution related to the power of the stars like Xian Jiuxiao. The three of them arrived at the secret room and sat down. The white-robed cultivator cupped his hands and said, "Dao Yu, do you want to inquire about information about pure yin and pure yang spiritual items, or do you want to know how to enter the setting sun abyss? I have two questions. First, what dangers are there in the setting sun abyss and how to avoid them? Second, why are Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance fighting again?" The white-robed cultivator chuckled. It seems that Dao Yu has his ways. He doesn't need to inquire about the location of pure yin and pure yang spiritual items. The setting sun abyss is the most dangerous place in the Sea of Seven Stars, so there are naturally many dangers. First, there are huge pressure everywhere in the deep sea, as well as attacks from sea demon beasts. Second, the space is unstable. When the rank 8 golden crow landed here, it caused a lot of damage to the space. It formed many unstable small secret realms. If you accidentally fall into an unstable secret realm, the slightest movement will cause the secret realm to collapse. Third, the white-robed cultivator stopped talking and looked at Wang Daoyuan with a smile on his face. Wang Daoyuan cursed inwardly. What a profiteer. He stopped talking about the most important part. The treasure map also mentioned the demonic beasts in the deep sea and the space's instability. It even marked out the most unstable places in the space. What he was most worried about was the appearance of new dangers or changes in the distribution of demonic beasts. If he blindly followed the treasure map, he might encounter danger. He took out a Qinkuan bag. There are 500 high-grade spirit stones in here. Is it enough to buy information? The white-robed cultivator smiled. It's barely enough. Looking at your faces, it should be your first time doing business with my Starbright Pavilion. I'll take a loss. 500 high-grade spirit stones for 2 pieces of information. Dao Yu made a big profit. Chapter 986. Although Wang Daoyuan smelled the scent of a profiteer, he still feigned civility. "Thank you, Dao Yu, for your generous help." The white-clothed cultivator smiled. "It's no problem. Since Dao Yu didn't ask about the yin-yang spiritual items and asked about the situation in the sea, you must have some connections." Most likely, he had some connections and knew where the yin-yang spiritual items were produced. He just wanted to ask what dangers there were. There hasn't been much turmoil in the Sunset Abyss. There are only some changes in the types of demon beasts and their distribution. I have a simple map here that shows the more dangerous areas in the depths of the Sunset Abyss. You'll understand once you take a look. However, my shop is a small business, so please don't leak this map out, Dao Yu. Then, he took out a jade slip. Wang Daoyuan reached out to take it, but the white-clothed cultivator retracted his hand. He took out a storage bag. Dao Yu really knows how to do business. Here are 300 high-grade spirit stones. However, Dao Yu has to give me something in return. There are dangers everywhere underwater and the demon beasts in the sea all have their own abilities. Do you have any defensive measures against demon beasts? Wang Daoyuan didn't need any defensive measures, but Zhou Wan did. She was a fire-type cultivator and her combat power was greatly reduced underwater. If she didn't have any special measures, Wang Daoyuan didn't have full confidence in protecting her if she was attacked by a large number of demon beasts in the sea. The white-clothed cultivator took the Qingquan bag and handed the jade slip to Wang Daoyuan. Of course. There's a blacksmithing workshop across the street. The magic artifacts they make are used to deal with all kinds of dangers in the sunset abyss. Dao Yu can go take a look. As long as you have spirit stones, you can buy anything. What's going on with the battle between Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance? Before I went on my travels, both sides had more than enough defense and less than enough offense. In just a few decades, their strength can't have changed too much. Neither side can swallow the other. If they fight now, they'll just waste resources and give Mystic Ice Island and Myriad Demon Island an opportunity. The white-clothed cultivator smiled and said, I'm also curious about this matter. It seems like Dao Yu often travels outside. They should know about our business, and they also need to buy information. Only the upper echelons of the two families knew why the war had broken out. It's impossible for those higher-ups to sell the information to the store, and we have no way of knowing the confidential information. Since Dao Yu is paying for information, we can only tell him what we know. The war started more than 20 years ago. The first place where the war started was Rare Treasures Island. Dao Yu also knows that place is at the southern end of the Sea of Seven Stars, while we are at the northernmost end of the Sea of Seven Stars. Even if the rogue cultivators wanted to escape, they would run towards the Myriad Devil Islands. Very few of them would come here. Our Bright Star Pavilion is just a small business, we don't have any other branches. We don't know the exact details either. All we know is that Blood Shark made the first move and seized Rare Treasure Island. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Rare Treasures Island is the balance point between the two sides, and it's also a trade center. No matter which side obtains Rare Treasures Island, they will gain a huge amount of resources and manpower. They can also use Rare Treasures Island as a springboard to threaten the other side's hinterland. If Blood Shark seized Rare Treasures Island, the Seven Stars Alliance will definitely fight for it with all their might. Dao Yu is in the information business. Even if you don't have the exact information, you should have heard a lot of rumors. Tell me about them. The white-clothed cultivator smiled. It seems like Dao Yu is quite familiar with Rare Treasures Island. Rare Treasures Island is indeed an important place. No one dares to give it up. Now that Rare Treasures Island is in the hands of Blood Shark, the Seven Stars Alliance's inheritance is not as good as Blood Shark's, and they rely on their advantage in resources. Now that their advantage in resources is threatened, they will naturally fight with all their might. As for those rumors, my Bright Star Pavilion never sells them. I can tell Dao Yu for free if we can't confirm the authenticity of the information. However, if this information is wrong in the future, don't come looking for trouble. Wang Daoyuan chuckled. Dao Yu must be joking. Do you think I'm someone who doesn't know what's good for me? My wife and I are both rogue cultivators. No matter how the two sides fight, it has nothing to do with us. Just tell me if you have any rumors. That's good. There are a lot of rumors about this. There are a total of 3 rumors that I think are quite reliable. First, someone found something left behind from ancient times on Rare Treasures Island. Some say it's a tomb of a mighty person, while some say it's a large-scale secret realm like the Seven Stars Secret Realm. Not only are there a lot of resources, but there are also many inheritances from ancient great sections. Second, some rare treasure has appeared on Rare Treasures Island. It's said that someone brought a treasure to an auction house to put it up for auction. The auction house's appraiser saw that the treasure was extraordinary. This appraiser also had dealings with Blood Shark, so he leaked this information. The Blood Shark pirates decided to strike first to gain the upper hand. Thus, they took down Rare Treasure Island. Third, Dao Yu should have heard of Imperial Wind Monarch, right? There are rumors that he's back. Imperial Wind Monarch had cultivated to the peak of soul formation back then. He went to the Blue Dragon ruins in search of an opportunity to break through to soul formation. He even brought 2 soul formation cultivators with him. The great sects of the Seven Stars Alliance took advantage of this opportunity to break through the Imperial Regency with the help of traitors. They even destroyed the teleportation formation so that Imperial Wind Monarch couldn't come back. It had been more than 7,000 years since that incident. Imperial Wind Monarch was more than 3,000 years old at that time. If he hadn't broken through to the Mahayana realm, he would have died a long time ago. Wang Daoyuan pondered for a long time. That's not right. Although my cultivation is low, I still know a thing or two about the strength of a Mahayana cultivator. The forces of the Seven Stars Alliance have never had a Mahayana cultivator, so they don't have the means to deal with Mahayana cultivators. If Imperial Wind Monarch is really back, why would we need to go to war? We can just go to their door and destroy the leading great sects of the Seven Stars Alliance. The white-robed cultivator smiled. It's all hearsay. Who can tell whether it's true or not? These 3 sayings are still plausible. The other sayings are baseless, so I didn't say anything. Dao Yu, that's all you want to know. Do you have any other information? Wang Daoyuan cupped his hands and said, that's all. If I need any more information in the future, I'll come and find Dao Yu. Goodbye. With that, he left the Starbright Pavilion with Zhou Wan. The white-robed cultivator sent them all the way to the door. After knowing the general situation, Wang Daoyuan felt a little irritated. Blood Shark and the Seven Stars Alliance were fighting over Rare Treasure Island. Although the north was a little more peaceful, it wasn't easy either. Although there was no substantial evidence for the 3 rumors mentioned by the white-robed cultivator, the first 2 were still possible. The first rumor, in particular, was very likely. After all, it was unlikely that there would be a Tier 7 spirit item in the Sea of 7 Stars. Even if there was, it would be difficult to change the contrast in strength between the 2 sides. Even a powerful Tier 7 Dharma artifact wouldn't be able to make up for the difference in resources and manpower. The most likely reason for the 2 sides to fight to the death was the appearance of a mystic realm. Back then, the Sea of 7 Stars was the territory of the Shunlian school. If they could have a 7 Stars mystic realm, it was possible that there were other mystic realms. If they really found a big mystic realm like the 7 Stars mystic realm, it could indeed change the contrast in strength between the 2 sides. Both sides would definitely not give up on fighting for the mystic realm. This battle would still be fought. Wang Daoyuan originally wanted to find a stable place to settle down in the Sea of 7 Stars and migrate some of his clansmen over to slowly develop and strengthen. However, both sides were in the midst of a fierce battle, and there was no possibility of it ending in a short period of time. The entire Sea of 7 Stars was in a turbulent environment. It was extremely difficult to find a stable place. Moreover, this environment wasn't suitable for the development of a new force. The 2 of them had been Dao companions for more than 200 years. Zhou Wan knew him very well. She held his hand and comforted him with a voice transmission. Don't think too much. My clone has memorized so many islands along the way. Just find a few islands that are big enough and have high-grade spirit veins to settle down. It won't be too late to expand after a few years of operation. With us guarding it together, we won't have to be afraid of the 2 forces coming over to find trouble. Wang Daoyuan nodded. The 2 of them walked to a blacksmithing workshop opposite the Starbright Pavilion. This blacksmithing workshop was called the Sunset Abyss Blacksmithing Workshop. The workshop was quite lively. The few cultivators in charge of receiving customers were too busy. Chapter 987. Most of the customers of the Sunset Abyss were Golden Core cultivators. After all, this was a lawless place, and many people came here to seek refuge. The shopkeeper of the Sunset Abyss was quite capable. When he saw Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan, 2 Yuanian cultivators, enter, he hurriedly went forward to welcome them. Dao Yu, what kind of Dharma artifacts would you like? Although our shop is a small business, we have all kinds of goods. In particular, we have all kinds of Dharma artifacts that can be used near the sunset abyss. Wang Daoyuan glanced around. The Dharma artifacts on the first floor were all grade 4. Zhou Wan was a late-stage Yuanian cultivator, so these Dharma artifacts were useless to her. If your shop only has grade 4 Dharma artifacts, then we'll be leaving. When he heard this, the shopkeeper was not anxious. Instead, he was delighted. How can there not be any hard goods when doing business in this place? It's only because of the high demand for grade 4 Dharma artifacts that we put them on the first floor. Dao Yu, if you want grade 5 Dharma artifacts, please follow me to the second floor. With that said, he led the way. When the three of them arrived on the second floor, the shopkeeper pointed to 4 very large rooms. These 4 rooms store Dharma artifacts. They are offensive, defensive, auxiliary, and Dharma artifacts with more complicated functions. Dao Yu, feel free to look around. I'm not boasting, but as long as you can see Dharma artifacts outside, you can also see them in this room. Wang Daoyuan smiled. Dao Yu do business on Lone Star Island, so you must know the situation in the Sunset Abyss. We want to enter the Sunset Abyss to look for pure yin and pure yang spiritual items. Dao Yu, please recommend the Dharma artifacts that we need. The shopkeeper was stunned and glanced at them. Dao Yu's cultivation is only about the same as mine. The shallow waters of the Sunset Abyss are fine. There are not many places that can threaten Yuanian cultivators. However, if you want to go deep into the sea, it will be very dangerous. High-grade grade 5 demon beasts are very common. They even appear in groups. More than 1,000 years ago, there were cases where cultivators encountered 6th-order demonic beasts and escaped with serious injuries. If we are on land, we humans are not afraid of demons of the same level. But in the sea, the strength of sea monsters increased greatly. Human cultivators of the same level would find it difficult to defeat them. With their strength, they would definitely die if they entered the depths of the setting sun abyss. The 2 Dao Yu were still young, probably less than 500 years old. By absorbing the essence of the sun and moon, one could also gather enough pure yin and yang qi. As long as I can reach the divinity transformation stage, it's not a big deal even if I delay the breakthrough for a few hundred years. I don't have to take the risk. This shopkeeper was kind-hearted. The life and death of these 2 people had nothing to do with him. On the contrary, it was more beneficial for him to take the risk. Dao Yu is an honest and considerate person. However, the 2 of us have already made up our minds to go to the setting sun abyss and give it a try. We also have some life-saving means in our hands. As long as we don't encounter a 6th-order monster beast, we still have some confidence in escaping. I just want to buy some auxiliary magic tools so that I can retreat safely. The shopkeeper sighed. Forget it. Since you insist, I am a businessman. I can't reject the god of fortune. Please follow me. The 3 of them entered a room where auxiliary magic tools were stored. I see that this female Dao Yu is a fire attribute cultivator. It is difficult for her to use her full strength in the sea. She needs to use the water avoidance pearl to protect herself. However, our store lacks materials. The water avoidance pearl is only a temporary magic tool. It will break after 2 to 3 months. Of course, the price is also cheap. A 5th-order mid-grade water avoidance pearl only costs 300 high-grade spirit stones. This water avoidance pearl was refined from a crystal-type material and was not very strong. Wang Daoyuan nodded. This thing is not bad. Give me 5. Seeing that he was so generous, the shopkeeper was overjoyed. There are a few types of sharks in the setting sun abyss. Their intelligence is not low and they are not easy to deal with. I have the blood madness powder refined from the blood essence of demonic beasts. It is fatally attractive to shark-type demonic beasts. Just a little bit will attract a large number of sharks. Moreover, after the sharks swallow the blood madness powder, they will fall into a deranged state and kill each other regardless of friend or foe. The price is slightly higher, 500 spirit stones per bottle. One bottle can be used 3 times and can attract all the sharks within a radius of 2,000 kilometers. The usage is also simple. Wrap the blood madness powder with spiritual energy and send it far away. Disperse the spiritual energy and the blood madness powder will naturally dissolve into the water. The jade bottle used to store the blood madness powder was an ordinary pill bottle. The shopkeeper opened the jade bottle and showed it to Wang Daoyuan. It was filled with dark red powder. This was a good thing. It could attract sharks to other places to kill each other. Once a shark was bitten to death, the smell of blood would attract more sharks and there would be no danger. Give me 3 bottles. What other good things do you want to recommend? There is also a special fluorescent pearl. The fluorescent light it emits is extremely attractive to demonic beasts in the deep sea that do not see light all year round. One fluorescent pearl can illuminate a radius of 300 kilometers for more than a month. Fluorescent pearls are relatively cheap. They cost 10 high-grade spirit stones each. There are only so many ways to deal with demonic beasts in the deep sea. As for the other artifacts, I'm sure Dao Yu won't lack them. After saying this, he took out another pearl that was flickering with fluorescent light. Wang Daoyuan nodded. Then give me 10 more fluorescent pearls. The shopkeeper ordered someone to bring the things he wanted. After paying the spirit stones, the 2 of them left the shop. They found a cave residence on Lone Star Island and after a few days of rest, they entered the sea. Although Wang Daoyuan had drifted on the sea many times, he didn't have much experience in fighting in the sea. Zhou Wan was even more so. After leaving Beiyuan Xiuxian, this was the first time she saw the sea. Even though she used a water avoidance pearl, she was still a little scared. Not long after the 2 of them entered the sea, Zhou Wan used her divine sense to scan the surroundings for fear of encountering demonic beasts. Wang Daoyuan comforted her through voice transmission. Lord Shadow Lord, don't worry. I have a domain ability and am best at group battles. 10 or 25th grade demonic beasts won't be enough for me to kill. Just stay by my side. If there's any danger that I can't deal with, I'll put you in my portable mystic realm. The sunset abyss was indeed the place where the golden crow fell. The seabed was really deep. The 2 of them went more than 50,000 feet and only encountered a few seamounts. These seamounts were also important landmarks for exploring the seabed. They could use them to deduce their location. The 2 of them carefully avoided the demonic beasts and slowly dived. After 4 to 6 hours, they finally saw the seabed. Rough estimations showed that the depth of this place was more than 10,000 feet. Through the surrounding scenery and the various information he knew, Wang Daoyuan deduced that the location they appeared in was called Ink Shark Valley. In the past, ink shark often appeared. Later, the spirit veins here were damaged, and the spirit power was greatly reduced. Many ink shark groups ran out, and the number of 4th grade and 5th grade demonic beasts decreased. Now, low-grade demonic beasts dominated this place. According to the records on the treasure map, if they continued east along Ink Shark Valley and passed through an area with more demonic beasts, they would reach Whitebone Gully. Legend had it that Whitebone Gully was formed when the Golden Crow fell, causing the seabed to shake and crack. The Yin Chi in Whitebone Gully was rich, and many Yin attribute spiritual objects were formed. This was also the safest place among the places that produced 6th grade pure Yin spiritual objects. Wang Daoyuan's destination this time was also Whitebone Gully. Under the heavy pressure, the seawater had also changed. Spiritual sense was greatly restricted. Wang Daoyuan's spiritual sense could only see the situation within 30 miles. Not to mention his eyes, there was no light in the sea. Cultivators could see at night, but there had to be a glimmer. Without a glimmer of light, his eyes were not of much use. He grabbed Zhou Wan's hand tightly to prevent the 2 of them from being separated. In such an environment, they could be attacked by demonic beasts at any time. Suddenly, he remembered that there was still a soul-chasing compass in his sea of consciousness. This thing could detect everything with souls, and it came in handy now. The compass opened, and a light screen formed above the compass. All life forms within a radius of 300 miles were shown on the compass. The moment the compass opened, a dim green light spot quickly approached the two of them. Chapter 988. Demon beasts had weak souls, so it was normal for the light spot to be dim. Since the light spot was blue, it must be a rank 5 demon beast. Killing a rank 5 demon beast didn't take much effort for Wang Daoyuan. However, he had to make as little noise as possible to take down this demon beast, and he couldn't let it bleed. Although there weren't many rank 5 demon beasts in Ink Shark Valley, it was only at the bottom of the sea. Many species of demon beasts didn't like to stay in the deep sea for too long, so they usually lived in shallow areas. Otherwise, Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan could enter the sea from the top of Whitebone Gully. Because they had to avoid those demon beasts that like to stay in shallow water, there were very few places in the Sunset Abyss where they could enter the sea. Even if they wanted to go to the center of the Sunset Abyss to search for treasures, they could only enter the sea from a few fixed places at the edge. Of course, if they weren't afraid of being attacked by dozens or even hundreds of rank 5 demon beasts, they could enter the sea from anywhere. However, no one below the soul formation stage should have this ability. If they made too much noise here, even demon beasts that didn't like to stay in the sea wouldn't mind coming over to cause trouble. Sensing the approach of demon beasts, Wang Daoyuan pulled Zhou Wan behind him. "There's a demon beast coming, be careful." Although she wasn't good at fighting in the sea, Zhou Wan still started to gather her spiritual power, ready to attack at any time. After a few seconds, a strange fish emerged from the rocks. This guy's body was a bit like a shark, but its head looked like a carp. There were 2 fleshy feelers on its mouth, and its body was covered with very large hard scales. Seeing its appearance, Wang Daoyuan immediately remembered the records related to it. This demon beast was called the dragon scale shark. It was said that it was a cross between a shark and a dragon. There had been such a thing in the sea outside Beiyuan. The dragon scale shark inherited the fierceness and speed of sharks, as well as the strong defensive ability of dragons. It was stronger than ordinary sharks and could be considered a tyrant in the deep sea. Some sharks with a high concentration of dragon blood even had the ability to control water. They could even compete with flood dragons. However, this demon beast didn't like to be in groups and usually acted alone. Therefore, it wasn't a big threat to humans. The dragon scale shark in front of him was a mid-grade 5th level dragon scale shark. In this deep sea, its strength wasn't inferior to the average late-stage Yuanian cultivator. The dragon scale mermaids had inherited the keen sense of smell of sharks. It was too late to hide now. Of course, Wang Daoyuan didn't take him seriously. He unleashed his divine ability domain, and a huge water prison instantly formed. In order to avoid causing too much of a commotion, the water prison did not clash with the dragon scale shark. Instead, it slowly increased the resistance to its movement. Under this resistance, its speed became slower and slower. The water prison also slowly shrank. By the time it wanted to struggle, its entire body was already tightly wrapped by the water prison. It was very difficult for it to even move. A wisp of black spiritual fire appeared out of nowhere and entered the dragon scale shark's body. After a dozen breaths, the dragon scale shark stopped moving. His soul had already been completely annihilated under the burning of the Gui water death flame. Wang Daoyuan stored the corpse into the spirit pearl space and handed it over to his clone to deal with. Only then did Zhou Wan let out a sigh of relief. A rank 5 middle-grade demonic beast died just like that without a sound. When did you become so powerful? You still don't know how powerful I am? The bottom of the sea was full of danger. Zhou Wan didn't continue to insult him. She just glared at him. At this time, the clone had already taken out the dragon scale shark's monster core. This monster's dragon blood was not low. The monster core had already turned into a pseudo-dragon pearl. Wang Daoyuan didn't have many mid-grade rank 5 pseudo-dragon pearls. Although the quality was a bit poor, it was still a rare refining material. The two continued to swim towards the east. Soon, they arrived at the easternmost end of Ink Shark Valley. There was a rank 6 low-grade spirit vein in the east. The spirit chi was extremely abundant. The abundant spirit chi nurtured a large number of corals and marine spirit plants. These corals and spirit plants attracted a large number of monster beasts. These corals and marine spirit plants all emitted a weak jade green light. The light emitted by countless corals and spirit plants gathered together, illuminating the dark bottom of the sea. In addition to the many corals and high terrain, this sea area was called the Green Dragon Ridge. This spirit vein was roughly north-south. The corals and spirit plants grew near the spirit vein. The entire Green Dragon Ridge was more than 100,000 miles long from north to south and more than 2,000 miles wide from east to west. It would take a long time to go around it. There were other dangerous places along the way. Going straight through was the most reliable choice. There were all kinds of monster beasts living in the corals. Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan were hiding dozens of miles away. They could clearly see some rank 5 monster beasts. Zhou Wan looked at the Green Dragon Ridge in front of her and asked, "How should we go over? We can't just barge in, right? There are too many monster beasts. If we rely on stealth, we will inevitably be discovered. It's better to use the blood madness powder to lure away some of the monster beasts." Then, he took out some blood madness powder and wrapped it with spirit power. He controlled the spirit power ball to fly towards the north. In order to lure the monster beasts further away, Wang Daoyuan even used his divine ability domain. Through the power of the divine ability domain, the blood madness powder was sent 500 miles away. The spirit power ball dispersed. The dark red powder instantly blended into the sea water. A strong smell of blood spread. After a dozen breaths of time, the monster beasts in the Green Dragon Ridge became restless. The rank 5 monster beasts gathered 500 miles north of the two of them. Many of them even passed by Wang Daoyuan and Zhou Wan. The two of them used secret techniques to hide their bodies. The monster beasts were attracted by the blood madness powder and did not discover them. Wang Daoyuan observed the situation over there through his divine ability domain. After half a cup of tea's time, the rank 5 monster beasts that arrived first had already begun to attack each other. Even the monster beasts that were not interested in the smell of blood went over to watch the show. There was a monster beast war over there. The number of monster beasts that died would not be small. For the monster beasts, casually picking up meat to eat was much better than cultivating bitterly. If they were lucky and could obtain an inner core, they would have profited greatly. The monster beasts that passed by the two of them decreased. They also began to slowly move east. Once the monster beasts in the sea saw blood, they would not stop in a short time. The rank 5 monster beasts went to watch the show. The rank 4 monster beasts were nothing to be afraid of. The two of them calmly crossed the Green Dragon Ridge and came to a nameless deep ravine. More than 500 miles east of the Green Dragon Ridge was their destination, Whitebone Ravine. The ravine that the two of them were in led directly to Whitebone Ravine. There were not many monster beasts here. In this deep ravine, one could feel the cold Yin Qi that spread from Whitebone Ravine. As they continued forward, the Yin Qi would only get thicker. Most monster beasts did not like Yin Qi. Naturally, there were not many monster beasts here. More than 500 miles was nothing to two Yuanian cultivators. However, this cold Yin Qi was somewhat unbearable for Zhou Wan. The Scarlet Phoenix Nirvana Fire's ability to resist the cold Yin Qi was not strong. Moreover, the Yin Qi here was rank 6 Yin Qi. Wang Daoyuan channeled some pure Yang Qi into her body to resist the Yin Qi's invasion. Only then did she feel slightly better. Whitebone Ravine lived up to its name. Many monster bones could be seen more than 500 miles away. Not only were there shark bones and other common monster bones, there were also many flood dragon bones. Unfortunately, these bones were contaminated by the Yin Qi and had already decayed. They were not suitable for refining tools. With the protection of the Scarlet Yang Primordial Fire's pure Yang Qi, the Yin Qi did not cause too much of an impact. The two of them quickly arrived at the west bank of White Bone Ravine. The entire ravine was 500 miles wide and hundreds of feet deep. It was unknown how long it was. As far as the eye could see, the ravine was filled with white bones. On the white bones, a faint blue light flickered. Dao Yuan, there seems to be something wrong with this light. After I took a look, I had the urge to walk over. However, it was not very strong. Wang Daoyuan stared at the light on the white bones. He did not feel anything. I did not feel anything. It should be a problem with my spiritual sense. This light does not have an obvious effect on human Yuanian cultivators. However, monster beasts' spiritual senses are far inferior to humans. They are easily affected by this light. The formation of White Bone Ravine is probably related to this light. A large number of monster beasts were attracted by the light. They could not withstand the dense Yin Qi and died here. After a long time, the white bones piled up and formed the scene in front of us. Chapter 989. After a careful search, there were still many demon corpses that had not completely rotted. These corpses were also emitting a faint blue glow. It was unknown how this faint blue glow was formed, but it could actually form a fatal trap here. Human cultivators came to search for spiritual items and did not dare to stay here for too long. Thus, they did not know much about White Bone Gully. Wang Daoyuan never liked to complicate matters. No matter how lethal this place was to the demon beasts, it had nothing to do with him. Human cultivators who dared to come here to search for treasures were at least in the middle or late stages of Yuaniing. Even if they could not completely ignore the light's influence like him, they could at least escape. White Bone Gully's special environment nurtured a kind of level 6 Yin-type spiritual item that could temper the Yuaniing and turn it into an essence soul, the unmetamorphosed bone. This item was originally a demon beast's bone, and it was mainly the bone where the demon beast's blood essence condensed. For example, the sharp teeth of tiger-type demon beasts, the wings of demon beasts, and other bones. These bones were the most commonly used and important bones of demon beasts when they were alive. After being nourished by the blood essence for a long time, it was naturally extraordinary and easier to form the unmetamorphosed bone. The higher the cultivation level and the stronger the body of the demon beast, the higher the possibility of forming the unmetamorphosed bone. In the special environment of White Bone Gully, this kind of bone would not rot easily. Instead, it could absorb a large amount of Yin energy. After a long time, a small number of bones could withstand the corrosion of Yin energy and all kinds of mixed energy and absorb a large amount of Yin energy. Only when the body's material had undergone a fundamental change could it be called the unmetamorphosed bone. However, the unmetamorphosed bone was born in an environment like White Bone Gully. When it absorbed Yin energy, it could not do without things like corpse energy. The Yin Qi in it was extremely mixed and was far from pure Yin Qi. Directly using it to temper the Yuaniing might damage the foundation. However, level 6 Yin-type spiritual items were extremely rare. It was good enough to have one that could be used. It was very difficult to find a level 6 spiritual item with extremely pure Yin and Yang energy. Therefore, humans created many methods to temper the unmetamorphosed bone. The Valley of Beasts had such methods. Although it could not completely eliminate the influence of corpse energy, it could reduce it to a negligible level. Wang Daoyuan looked at the White Bone Gully in front of him. As long as we can find a fist-sized piece of unmelted bone, we can go back. Zhou Wan was stunned. She asked, the unmelted bones need to be tempered, and a lot of Yin Qi will be lost in the process. This shouldn't be enough, right? Don't worry. I have the life spirit fire. I can dissolve the corpse Qi and death Qi in it without damaging the pure Yin Qi. Furthermore, my 5 elemental spiritual fire has already been refined into my Yuaniing, so some impure energy cannot harm me at all. If it weren't for the fact that he was worried about the inner demon tribulation when he broke through to the soul formation stage, He could have just used the unmetamorphosed bone. The yin qi here was extremely heavy, and these faint blue lights could damage one's consciousness. It's not easy to find an unmelted bone in White Bone Gully. Let's take our time. The pressure here is too great. If you can't handle it, you can enter my mystic realm and rest for a while. Zhou Wan chuckled, "You're really stupid. With this shadow master here, do you need to take your time to find it?" Wang Daoyuan was stunned. "You have a way to find these things?" Zhou Wan said arrogantly, "Of course. If I couldn't help you, why would I come down here with you? Do you think you can hook up with female cultivators in the deep sea? Open your eyes wide and watch how this shadow lord finds the phase." Saying this, she took out a simple black jade hairpin. The hairpin floated in front of her, and her hands continuously formed complicated hand seals. After a few breaths, the hairpin turned into a black flood dragon about 5 to 6 inches long. Zhou Wan waved her hand, and the black flood dragon swam into the White Bone Gully. It opened its mouth and spat out a gust of black qi. This gust of black qi didn't disperse. Instead, it gathered together and flowed in one direction. This is a magic tool left behind by one of the Blood Shadow's ancestors. Together with the accompanying secret technique, it specializes in finding pure yin spiritual items. Although the yin qi in the unmelted bones can't be considered pure yin, it's still much purer than these ordinary bones. This magic tool should be able to find it. Since you're looking for pure yin and pure yang spiritual items, I felt that this thing should be useful. That's why I took out this magic tool. Let's follow behind the little black flood dragon. We should be able to find the unmelted bones. The two of them headed southeast. After a quarter of an hour, the little black flood dragon stopped moving. The black qi it spat out earlier seeped into the pile of bones below. There should be some unmelted bones below this pile of bones. Watch me take it out. After saying this, she formed another complicated hand seal. The little black flood dragon dove into the pile of bones to search for the unmelted bones. After a few breaths, the pile of bones below began to shake. Wang Daoyuan shielded Zhou Wan behind him and took out the Xian cauldron to block in front of him. With a loud boom, a large number of bones flew out from the pile of bones that the little black flood dragon had dove into. Soon after, a resounding dragon's roar sounded. Wang Daoyuan's expression changed greatly. This dragon's roar wasn't ordinary. Under the dragon's roar, even his soul felt a tremor. He had seen many 5th-rank dragons, but they definitely didn't have this kind of strength. However, no other light spots appeared in the soul-chasing compass. Soon after, the little black flood dragon was thrown out. Immediately after, a flood dragon made of bones flew out of the White Bone Gully. This flood dragon's bloodline wasn't very pure. It only had a sharp horn on its head. There were wisps of black qi twining around the horn. Zhou Wan pointed at the horn of the bone flood dragon and said, "Its horn is the unmelted bones." Wang Daoyuan nodded. "Stay away. Watch me kill this bone flood dragon." At this moment, the bone flood dragon opened its mouth. The faint blue light within a few hundred miles gathered in its mouth. After a dozen breaths, 2 faint blue flames appeared in the bone flood dragon's 2 eye sockets. The Xian cauldron came out. "Master, this faint blue light is ghost dust. It's something left behind after a soul collapses and is formed by mixing with impure yin qi." The bone flood dragon's corpse turned into a spirit. If it continues to absorb the ghost dust, it will become stronger and stronger. Your Gui water death flame can directly burn the ghost dust. Quickly release it to burn it. Wang Daoyuan immediately released the Gui water death flame. The seawater contained a lot of spiritual power. As soon as the Gui water death flame was released, it began to burn. The divine ability domain had already been unfolded, constantly extracting the surrounding spiritual power and gathering it into the Gui water death flame. These ghost dust were really the best fuel for the Gui water death flame. When it fell into the Gui water death flame, the fire burned even more fiercely. Soon, the bone flood dragon was surrounded by the Gui water death flame. This bone flood dragon's strength was not ordinary. Naturally, it would not sit still. With a swing of its dragon tail, a huge whirlpool immediately appeared around it. After the Gui water death flame was sucked into the whirlpool, it quickly extinguished. The nearby white bones were rolled up by the whirlpool. Under the control of the bone flood dragon, these white bones smashed towards Wang Daoyuan. A huge snake skull smashed towards Wang Daoyuan. He quickly used an escape technique to dodge. The snake skull fell and smashed a hole more than 10 feet deep in the rock. This rock was not ordinary, but under the bone flood dragon, it could not withstand a single blow. Wang Daoyuan did not have such powerful strength. This bone flood dragon should have the strength of early deity transformation. Pieces of white bones smashed over. Wang Daoyuan also constantly used an escape technique to avoid all the attacks. After dozens of breaths, the white bones near the bone flood dragon were exhausted. The whirlpool continued to expand, wanting to roll in the distant white bones. Wang Daoyuan naturally would not just stand by and watch, injecting a lot of spiritual power into the Xian cauldron. The Xian cauldron flew above the whirlpool and released a powerful suppressive force. The strength of the bone flood dragon could not be underestimated. The whirlpool actually blocked the Xian cauldron. Wang Daoyuan urged with all his strength, but the Xian cauldron could not fall down. Of course, the whirlpool could no longer expand under the suppressive force. The Gui water death flame had burned the surrounding ghost dust. The ghost dust in the distance could not break through the encirclement of the Gui water death flame. No matter what it was, without external power to supplement it, it would become weaker and weaker. Unless it had a quick way to win, it could only fight with consumption. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.